And it is that time where am I? What's my name? There we go. Only took me a minute or two. It's like you're trying to figure out the sequence, and it's like, okay, I played the music and I had it running, and then I didn't, and then what was wrong, and going through my sequence. And so, once again, welcome to Thursday. Hi, John here, you there for Thursday Thoughts here on SDH. It's jammed, and we've got a lot of guests, as we traditionally do here on the day. Hour number 2 is our power hour with Nino and Niko, where with Nino Torres, our buddy from Gold TV, we go fully loaded, go around the world in about a half an hour. I don't know what's on his mind. I imagine Copa Libertadores is, considering that we had one of the heavyweights knocked out, and I think he called it. So we got to get that in, and in addition to everything else that's on Nino Torres' mind, that's at 10 o'clock Eastern. Last half hour of the show, it was a late night. Well, I mean, it was a late night for those of us on the East Coast that stayed up to watch Seattle and Antigua GFC in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. Our buddy Niko Moreno joining us for the last half hour of the show. I imagine he'll be on either cup 2 or 3 of his coffee in the Rave Green mug. So we'll get into that in specifics, and we'll get into week 1 and week 2 in Major League Soccer. From the Pacific perspective, we'll look at the Western Conference and see early returns, schedule compression, all those kinds of things. We got that coming up in hour number 2. Bottom of the hour, Will Pelagic, the play-by-play voice for Charlotte FC. He's going to join us, and we're going to get the Charlotte perspective as Atlanta United gets ready to go up I-75. And I imagine a lot of you are going to go up I-75 for Atlanta United and Charlotte. The early game on Saturday. So literally, I was like trying to crash through everything. And then yesterday, I was like, I forgot to catch up with Willie P to see if he could join us. I think we are literally dragging him out of class. It literally is getting him away from the principal's office. Well, we might actually get him into the principal's office if we keep him too long. But we're dragging him out of work. And at the bottom of the hour, we'll catch up with him about 15 minutes or so to get the greatest hits on Charlotte, find out about what his thoughts were after the match with Seattle, and what he's anticipating in this rivalry match for Atlanta United and Charlotte FC, and get the Charlotte perspective on what the rivalry means. Like I said, we've talked about how owner from day one, you're our rival. What's the hype coming the other way and coming south on 75? We'll get that from Willie P coming up bottom of the hour. So we've got all of that to get into. We have the other CONCACAF stuff to get into from yesterday, where we did have a surprise. One of the MLS teams is out. We'll go over that. We'll go over the brackets and lay it all out for you, setting up 10:30 and Niko Moreno. But opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Imagine a QR code. Just go to their website. And you can kick off your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And then when you do, you check out, buy the whole store. That'll make our friend Melissa Ortiz pretty happy. But then use the code SoccerDownHere15 when you check out. Then that'll help you get 15% savings on buying out the entire store. They, in turn, at Kickoff Coffee, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. We were talking yesterday about getting a nap in, and you needed to get a nap in for the tail end of SheBelieves Cup and for the U.S. women's national team to go up against Japan. And it would take a little while for it to be figured out. The U.S. needed a win, period. They needed a win. Japan needed basically a draw or a win because of superior goal difference. So that was the scenario going into the action at Snapdragon late night last night. So, as they were wont to do in this tournament, Japan out of the blocks early, and we're talking like the first 90 seconds. Here's the call, courtesy of our friends at TNT Sports and U.S. Soccer.
We'll see how she does going back to back, but that experience cannot be replaced.
Asagawa sliding the ball through. Sonnet trying to get in there with a challenge, but Japan have the early goal. Yuka Momiki, inside 2 minutes, has stunned San Diego. Because the
trailing early on after 90 seconds, like 93 seconds, I think it was, a minute 33 in. They're down 1-0. Takes them about 10 minutes to get the equalizer, and here's how that happened. Once again, Luke Wildman, Julie Foudy on the call over on TNT Sports. Once again, thanks to them in U.S. Soccer.
Johannes. Now Macario. Lovely turn from Macario, and it's through the middle for Sendor. Ali Sendor! It's tied at 1-1. And Ali Sendor is once again a star. Her second goal of the SheBelieves Cup, and didn't she take it well?
And it took just over 10 minutes from the Japanese side scoring for Ali Sendor to get the United States back to level. And it's this first touch. Doesn't get away from her, takes her into the space, pulls the keeper with that touch. Almost got in behind her, but instead it's in front of her. What a finish. Make no mistake, Ali Sendor.
So we're 1-1 at the break. And early second half, Japan gets the lead back again to take the advantage 2-1 heading into the final 40 minutes.
50th minute, Hasegawa strikes. Campbell with a save. The follow-up is there. Toko Koga, the substitute, only came on at half-time and has fired Japan back in front.
And Campbell does well to come all the way across. Gets the first hand on it, just can't get up and make the react save. Well done by Toko Koga, reading this all along. First to get it on the end of that ball. But a good save first by Campbell. And then the nutmeg by Toko Koga, the 19-year-old, coming in and putting Japan up 2-1. And what a test this is now for the United States, because as we have been talking about all along, Luke, the United States cannot finish this game with a draw. They need to get the 3 points.
And they did not. So final score was 2-1. Japan gets SheBelieves Cup to stop the win streak of the U.S. in the tournament. And it was a bid for a 6th straight title that stops at 5. Japan avenges the quarterfinal loss to the U.S. in the Paris Olympics, where the Americans would go on and capture gold. First defeat for the United States since Emma Hayes took over as coach back in May. And it was, once again, you had Ali Sendor getting her first international goal in the win over Colombia last week. She gets the team level in the 14th minute after the work from Kat Macario to help things out. So you had a shot late by Tierna Davidson from outside the box in the 88th minute, saved by Yamashita, and that was pretty much all she wrote. 2-1, Japan gets the win. And Emma Hayes, after the match, said, quote, the relationships, meaning Japan, the relationships they have in terms of the volume of games they've played together really shows they were a higher level to us throughout the whole evening. Then Emma Hayes also said, in preparation for literally the next 2 years, basically, I think we're better off as a result of this experience, end quote. Obviously, Bart Keeler will have more on the Soccer for US POD. They'll go deeper into the analysis, and they will also probably look at the Nations League roster for CONCACAF. You had the press conference for that, and I think 60 names. Try and pare that down. Pare that down by 2/3, and that's what you're going to be hunting for the United States as they get into the Nations League semifinals. Colombia and Australia. Catalina Usme scored the winner for Colombia to beat Australia to get third. And the loss at Snapdragon means that 1 year out from hosting the Asian Cup, Australia departs the U.S., 3 defeats in the 10th edition of the international competition. So that is what happened with SheBelieves last night. And it was, once again, the United States. Emma Hayes, we knew the approach coming in. It was going to be giving other players chances to test the depth of the pool because you didn't have triple espresso. And you were going to try and figure out where your goals were going to be coming from. And Ali Sendor is an early answer in that. So keeping an eye on all of that. The Game report, which is what we traditionally do in these kinds of situations. Once again, Theodore Lloyd Hughes and our friends at Soccer America in front of 17,188. That was the number for attendance at Snapdragon in this particular event last night. The win was Japan's second ever over the USA in 90 minutes, first on U.S. soil. The other victory for Nadeshiko came in 2012 at Algarve. And so, once again, going through all of the numbers and the player ratings, Jane Campbell given a 4 by TLH, and goes through a couple of the saves, and he claims that the audition took a step in the wrong direction, colliding with Emily Sonnet, leaving her powerless to stop the first goal. And once again, not entirely her fault, according to Theodore Lloyd Hughes, but he gives Jane Campbell a 4. Then on the backside, not a whole lot of high rankings. Dunn, McEwen, and Fox each get 4s. Emily Sonnet, with her rough night, got a 3. Midfield, best of the set, according to Theodore Lloyd Hughes, was Lily Johannes. Remember, Lily Johannes is 17. 17 years old, Lily Johannes, and only on her 4th cap for the United States. So, once again, looking at all the younger players, Lily Johannes, definitely a part of that next generation working her way up into the USWNT. So Sam Coffey in TLH's mind gets a 5, Lily Johannes a 6. Lindsay Heaps had a bit of a rough night, giving her a 4. And at forward, he claims that Yasmin Ryan, arguably the USA's best player against Japan. However, a lot of her decisions came on solo dribbles, not because of chance creation. Mentions Ali Sentnor, mentions Kat Macario. Says one of the biggest positives from She Believes will be Sentnor's emergence as an elite international shooter. 2 goals, 3 matches for the Royals winger, both of them technically executed to perfection, according to Theodore Lloyd Hughes over at Soccer America. And it was a big moment for Sentnor to score the equalizer off the ball work. According to TLH, left a lot to be desired. On the board, it's 6s across: Yasmin Ryan, Kat Macario, Ali Sentnor. Subs, 6 substitutions by the 68th minute. And it was Jaden Shaw, Jenna Niswanger, Lynn Biendelo, Alyssa Thompson, Corbin Albert, Tierna Davidson. Once again, we remember Tierna Davidson had that late shot in the 88th, that late chance in the 88th, chasing after an equalizer. But remember, the U.S. needed a win to take She Believes. Average of 50.9 caps entering the match across the roster. Least experienced USWNT starting 11 to face Japan since July of 1993. 18.9 at that time. Japan is the only team in the last 25 years to score against the WNT in the opening 2 minutes of a match more than once. USWNT hosts a pair of friendlies: Brazil, April 5th at SoFi, April 8th at PayPal Park in San Jose next to the airport. So it is USWNT, get a little bit of time off, April 5th at SoFi, April 8th at PayPal Park in San Jose, California. And that was the rundown of that match. Possession, Japan 51-49. Okay, great. Shots 19 total, 10 for the U.S., 9 for Japan. 5 shots on goal for the U.S., 4 for Japan. 4 saves for Japan, 2 for the U.S. 3 corners on the night, total 2 for the United States. 12 fouls, twice as many called on Japan than on the U.S., 8-4. 4 offside flags raised, 3 of them on the United States. So that is the rundown of what happened. So no She Believes Cup, no 6 in a row. So you couldn't go to the second hand for the United States. It stops at 5. And Japan walks away with the She Believes Cup here in 2025. So that's what happened. That's what happened last night with the She Believes Cup. That's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There would be a QR code if I knew how to transfer it and not screw things up here on Restream. So go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Start your day with them. Don't forget, when you check out, use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives, stuff that they have earmarked as cool. Once again, Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Running through all of our other relationships, once again, Will Pelagic joining us in about 10 minutes. It is a Grady Baby Co. You've seen me wear the sweatshirt. Jason, you've seen wear the sweatshirt. Soccer's just better in Atlanta. You can get it in the red. You can get it in the black with the gold lettering. And with the relationship and that we have with our friends at Grady Baby, you can help out middle school soccer programs attached to Atlanta Public Schools with the investment that you would make through Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. If you follow Lloyd Hours and the Federation on the 280 character app, you've been getting to see this new wave, this next wave of islands going up against islands in the chain now. You're getting to that level of competition when it comes to futsal. And Coach Hours has been navigating all of that and trying to get them to the next level of competition there inside the islands. And when Lloyd is back in London, we'll catch up with him and find out about the experience. But I would recommend following Lloyd Hours, Matt Webb, Justin Whaley, all of those folks in the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. You want to buy the gear, bucket hats, jerseys, etc., everything but scarves. You can do that. That comes from England. You want the scarf, that comes from me. I've got about a dozen on the other side of this door. So if you want to help out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation and you haven't yet, once again, proceeds go to help them out and help pay some of their bills as they're trying to grow the federation to where they can be in Oceania and they can be recognized as a nation chasing after trophies. So once again, go to the Federation store. You can get everything. You can buy the scarf there, but the scarf gets shipped from me. So once again, you can help them out as they continue to grow as the last nation on this planet without a national soccer program. And they're trying to build to that point. So great stuff from our friends at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. Also, you can go to Olive & York, get the first ever SDH jersey. And it is a Navy jersey. And I know I've seen some of you wearing them. And I have mine, have yet to wear it on the air. But I'm probably getting to that point when we get to the cooler weather. And I've also realized now that I need more soccer-based sweatshirts because you always see me with the SDH one. You see me with my Pele one. You see me with this one from our friends in San Marino and my XFL stuff. I just need more soccer sweatshirts. I think I've just come to that conclusion. So that's probably where I'm going to be headed with my purchases off season in the middle of summer. But you can get your stuff from Olive & York, get the first ever jersey. Thanks to our friends at Kaiser Permanente for all that they do for us across the board. They're the sponsor across the front. Thanks to Beyond Goals Mentoring. Thanks to Soccer for Good. You can get it personalized either in white letters and numerals or in Carolina blue letters and numerals. And that is the Olive & York jersey. Once again, that helps out a lot of our Soccer for Good that we're helping out here in 2025. So I think that's it. Kickoff coffee. Olive & York for the jersey, Marshall Islands Federation, Grady Baby Co. I think that's everybody. I think that's everyone. Okay. So once again, all the things that we're doing for Soccer for Good, and thanks to all of you guys for. Oh, I know what I forgot. For being a part of it. Okay. Don't forget to download the Chant app, and I'll show it to you. So. For those of you who are checking us out on the video portion, go to Chant and become a Fanatico. $10 a year. $10 a year, and you get to be a part of our community here on the Chant app. All the conversations that we have with one another, we have them here as well on Chant. And also, what you are able to do is help us out with our 2025 Soccer for Good projects. But when you do that, like I said, $10 a year. $10 a year, and you go on Chant, you become an SDH Fanatico. What you get to do is you get discounts at a bunch of really cool places, and they are partners here on the Fanatico side of things. They believe in what we're doing, and we know that you do as well. And here's your chance to combine the two. So places like this, just to give you an idea, here's some of the places that have discounts available if you are a Fanatico and you've downloaded it and you've downloaded the Chant app and become a part of the conversation here. Brass Tap in Marietta, the Moxie Hotel in Midtown Atlanta, 20% off hotel food and beverage when you go to Moxie Midtown. Schoolhouse Brewing in Marietta, South Main Brewing in Watkinsville in Oconee County. So maybe you go and see something on the collegiate campus and see something in the conference where it just means more. And then on your way there or on your way back, you go to South Main Brewing and go and hang out in Watkinsville. Slow Pour in Lawrenceville, Atlanta Hard Cider Marietta, Round Trip Brewing in Marietta, Social Fox Brewing in Norcross, Keys to Flavor Catering in Sugar Hill, 15% off your first catered event, Fido Midtown, 10% off food tabs, O'Sullivan's, $5 select beers, 10% off the food bill, 10% off of merch. Our friends at O'Sullivan's, who are directly tied to Decatur FC and the WPSL, they had Joe Gould named as their new general manager earlier this week. We're trying to catch up with Joel next week to find out about the challenges. How can you match what you did in 2024 for the 25 WPSL season? Lloyd Soccer, 20% off select Atlanta United gear. Dad's Garage. Chateau Arenal in El Castillo, San Ramon, Costa Rica. 10% off any booking. You want to go to Costa Rica and go to Chateau Arenal, you get 10% off. Use the code. Battle and Brew, Sandy Springs and the Battery. Tires Plus in Alpharetta, you get discounts on alignment, oil change, and $50 off 4 tires. And Wild Leap in Atlanta, downtown, you get dollar off a Chance IPA, local gold blonde ale, limit 3 per visit. You get all that with our friends that have tied into our Fanaticos element at SDH. You can do that once again. Be a Fanatico, $10 a year, and be a part of the conversation on the Chant app. And you can get dialed in there to be a part of the Fanaticos on SDH. Last night in CONCACAF, we did have chalk except for 1 point. And we're going to play that before Will Pelagic joins us coming up bottom of the hour. We do know most of the bracket. And with what happened with wins last night, Seattle beats Antigua. We'll talk to Niko Moreno about that at 10:30. Seattle advances to take on Cruz Azul, upper right. Other part of that bracket is America and Chivas. So America and Chivas, Cruz Azul, and Seattle. Gee, thanks. Upper right. Also on the board, Cincinnati wins yesterday as the early game, and they advance going up against Motagua. So in the low right, it is Tigres taking on FC Cincinnati. That starts March 4th. March 5th is the surprise. Last night, RSL and Herediano were going at it in Sandy, Utah. And all really Herediano needed was if goals were scored to get to 1-1. They get the away goal, they're in business. Guess what? They got the away goal. They were in business. Here's how it happened, once again, courtesy of CONCACAF and our friends at FS2.
Tapered away, Gonzalez, that ball partially deflected top of the box. This could be trouble. Bravo, right hand side, they score! This time it'll count, and we are level at 1-1. There's the captain, Aguilar on the board. 3 changes, and it burned him. Easy turnover, and a good capitalization on it. Alan Cruz is the one that stymied the counter. Palacio, who didn't have a beat on it, had that ball ripped away. Cruz got it back from Aguilar.
You remember Alan Cruz, don't you, from our time going up against Herediano, for those of you that remember Atlanta United in CONCACAF. So Herediano goes to Sandy, Utah, evened out with RSL. They had a goal initially earlier in the second half that was pulled back by VAR, a foul back at the beginning of the play in the buildup. That goal counted, and that goal stood. So Herediano advances, and Herediano will take on LAG March the 5th. Tigres and the FC Cincinnati's March 4th. That's the right-hand side of the bracket. One more time, Murderers Row up top. America and Chivas, Cruz Azul, and Seattle. That's on the 5th, and both of those are on the 5th. On the 4th, Tigres takes on FC Cincinnati, low right, as well as LAG and Herediano. That's your surprise coming out of low right. Now you have Monterrey taking on low left, the winner of Vancouver Whitecaps and Saprissa. That's tonight at 10 o'clock. So stay up late if you wish. You can keep an eye on Vancouver and Saprissa to find out who takes on Monterrey. And it is Alajuelense, who was preceded. They advance, and they're going to take on Pumas, who knocked off Cavalry early on. That's on March 4. Monterrey and the winner of Vancouver and Saprissa is on the 5th. Upper left, it is Columbus Crew taking on LAFC and Cavalier taking on Messi and Friends. For the Cavalier home side of that particular matchup, 35,000 seats have already been sold in the home market, so it is a sellout at 35,000 for Cavalier. Good for them. So it is Crew, LAFC, Cavalier, Messi and Friends, upper left. It is Monterrey, winner of Vancouver and Saprissa, Alajuelense and Pumas, low left. Upper right, America, Chivas, Cruz Azul, Seattle. Low right, it is Tigres, FC Cincinnati, LAG, and Herediano. So that is your round of 16 in CONCACAF. And like I said, we'll talk to our buddy Niko Moreno coming up in just a bit. and we'll break it all down from the Seattle perspective. And it is the bottom of the hour. And like I said, I am trying my best. We will make sure that we do not get our buddy Will Pelagic in any kind of trouble when it comes to coming to visit. And if he needs a hall pass, if he needs something in like written form to where, please excuse Will from X because of an appearance on this particular show. And now that he's properly hydrated, I'm going to bring him in. So we bring in Willie P. So do you need a letter from us to hand to the principal there at the station?
Not quite. I'm all good. Okay. I had to do something basically earlier on in studio here, but always glad to make some time for you, John.
Well, it's always great to have you as friend of the morning show and part of the La Familia here at SDH. I could not let the week go by. I almost let the week go by with all of it because of what I was trying to figure out involving the activity with Charlotte. So, man's got to fix his camera. So, give me a second. And this is what happens. Here's what I bet happened. He started his segment. And then everybody there in the office was like, "Oh, he started his segment. We got to talk to him." So, Willie P, he's going to break down everything from Charlotte, and Seattle, and then what we'll do is we will discuss this particular matchup, and this is what I wanted to do involving this particular club, and so it's always fun and intriguing when Willie P comes by. Let's just do that. No worries. It's straight up audio right now. I still don't have your picture. I still do not see the face of faces from Charlotte. Oh, it's thinking about it. At least I thought it was. So the device is thinking about it. No, it's still audio, but we can do audio until something happens. It's all
Sorry
good.
about that.
No worries. I figured that there was some corporate overlord that was wagging their finger. You're talking to Atlanta? What? One of those kind of things. I figured that was what was happening. It's all good.
Not at all.
Let's go back to last week. You had a late night, and the broadcast had a late night going up against Seattle. Now that the first match is in the barn, what are some of your takeaways now that you've had a couple of days to reminisce about it?
Well, I think that, again, they came out very fortunate when it comes to getting a point in a very, very tough place to do so, John, particularly when you think about the way that they played. Unfortunately, the issues that I think we had hoped that they had fixed when it came to possession had not been fixed. They had a real hard time connecting passes. They had a hard time getting a lot of chances going forward, and really a hard time just entering the final third as well. So from that perspective, you look at Charlotte and you look at the result, the fact they were able to get a goal off a set piece, which is something that traditionally has not necessarily been one of their strong suits, but the other part of this, too, being the fact that they were able to get very much a gift from Yamar of Seattle, who is one of the better center backs in the league, almost a striker's finish when it comes to the way that he finished that past Stefan Fry. I think that nobody associated with the club would talk about that game in a complimentary fashion outside of the fact that you always know that the great characteristics of good teams are ability to get results when you're not playing your best, and that's the part of it that I feel like is most rewarding. And hopefully you can flush it as a bad performance. They didn't have Wilfred Zaha, so that part obviously you have to factor into it as well. They had obviously planned to have him, and they did not. So I think it's something where, all things considered, you take the point and you run for the hills. But now, obviously, ahead of Atlanta, there's a singular focus to try and get back to more of the soccer that we'd been accustomed to seeing, and the soccer they very much had promised and had been seeing.
All right, so folks have been asking, and it is the gazillion-dollar question, at least down here on this end of 75. Do you, Sir Kama, have a Wilfred Zaha update for the first match of the weekend, inquiring minds and all that stuff?
Everything that I have heard from the club, John, is that they expect him there. I haven't been going to go to training literally after I get off the phone with you because they train here at about 10 o'clock, about 15 minutes down the road from me. So if I see them, If I see him, I'll let you know. I do know that he posted an update. His young baby girl was born. I don't know if that was a birth photo from last night or just a couple of days ago or what it was. But we do know that the Zuri Zaha has been welcomed into the world, thankfully, and she looks pretty good as well. So from everything that I've been told, they're going to get him here in time for the game. What that looks like, I don't know, but it is obviously something you look at and say might not necessarily be the type of fitness that we had thought he might be able to do right at the beginning of the season. Don't know if it's a situation where he comes in and features off the bench, but he also might have he might have some persuasion toward Dean Smith, I should say hey, you know what? I'm this team's designated player. I need to play. And one of the things he also said, because there was a period of time where he was outside. He didn't come to Coachella right away because he was getting his visa sorted, and he didn't get to Coachella until I think Wednesday or Tuesday, I should say, for the Wednesday game the week before the season started. And part of that was kind of very much from Dean Smith's perspective, trying to get him back up to fitness. We asked him point blank, hey, how fit are you? And he said, you know what, I feel great. I feel like I just need to go and play games. So, he feels like you can run all you want, but nothing gets you game fit like playing in games. So I fully expect him to probably talk his way into the lineup if, in fact, he is physically here, which we expect him to be come this weekend.
Just under 10 minutes left with Bully P, so he makes sure that he gets to practice. Hashtag for the crown as we get ready for Charlotte. Atlanta is the leadoff match this weekend in match week number 2. Lineup that you had going up against Seattle without Zaha up top. Back four, Ream, Privet, Malanda, and Byrne. Midfield, Abada, Eric Williamson, Westwood, and Vargas. Then you had Pep Biel playing behind Ajimong. When you look at that bunch, obviously we've seen the growth of a lot of these players, specifically Patrick Ajimong, and how he is turning into a problem for folks. He is a problem. When you look at these three lines, let's take the forwards as one group, midfield as one group, and the back line as one group. Some of your other takeaways as they lined up in match week 1 against Seattle, outside of the issues that you think are still there.
Well, I think Ajimon didn't see enough of the ball, and what he did see of the ball, he was not able to, from a hold-up perspective, be as effective as we've seen him be. I think he only got 2 touches in the opposition box. Kerwin Vargas is somebody who I really want to see him put it all together, because I think he's taken significant strides as a player. But the problem with him is that when he tries to let it rip, he doesn't find the target. And I find it incredibly interesting that we actually got to see them for an open training on Monday, and he was finishing everything. Everything was either hitting the net or hitting the goalkeeper or hitting the post, or he had a couple of very interesting and intricate finishes that were very, very high level. It's just when you get to the game, it almost feels like it's a between the ears thing with him. So I'm hoping that he's able to make the most of his opportunity, because when he is on, he is an incredible and great ascending, rising young player. I think we need to see a little bit more from Leo Labata as well from that perspective. Eric Williamson blew very hot and cold for me. I think he was very good in moments, but I think he also lost the ball in some very key moments. The midfield did not do its job in getting the ball progressed enough to the forwards and to the wingers to be able to be as effective as they wanted to be against Seattle. Again, they only created the one shot on target from, and it didn't even come from the run of play. It came off of the corner. So the fact that they were able to score 2 goals with 1 shot on target is incredibly remarkable. I think they had an XG of like 0.5, and 0.35 of it was Malanda's header. So that's the part of it. You need to work the keeper a lot more. You need to challenge the keeper a lot more. I think also at the back, there were some inherent issues when it came to just connecting simple passes. Andrew Privet did not have a good day from a defensive standpoint. Malanda had some points where he bailed out the defense, but also just from a connectivity standpoint, didn't seem all there. So I fully expect it to be something that's a lot different. I asked this of Christian Kalina. He said, look, Seattle had a very high line of confrontation with them. There are openings. We have to be better at recognizing them and be more assignment correct at getting them forward.
What's it been like to see a player like Malanda grow into who he is right now in Major League Soccer?
It's incredible, John. I honestly, when you start to see the talk around the world about him, it's incredibly complimentary and it almost makes you worried, like, oh my gosh, we're going to lose this player. Yet we hear everything from the club, but they say, hey, he's going to stay. We haven't seen the offer yet that we want for him. They want him, if he ends up leaving Charlotte FC, to go to a big team in a big league and an opportunity to play. Like, it would not be enough just to see him get a big payday from a lower division or second division French team, or somebody who's at the lower end of Ligue 1 and be just a high dollar outbound. If they want him, if he's going to go play for somebody, they want him to go play for a big club, because that's something they want to impress upon people who sign here in the future. But the thing is, he's very happy here, and I think also you've seen him be very, very good at taking the ball off of people. The one thing that he obviously has said that is something he wants to do more of is score goals, quite frankly, which I found pretty surprising. Dean said that before the first match. I kind of chuckled, and then we asked him about it after the game, and he's like, yeah, that's true. I thought that only scoring one goal last year, which ironically enough was the first goal of the year, also off a corner against New York, is not something that I'm satisfied with. So he wants to be known as that threat in the air, off set pieces, because he's got a big frame. He's like 6'4", 6'5", so he's definitely imposing. But it's an incredible thing to watch. He doesn't get beat very, very, very easily. If it happens very, very rarely or infrequently. And he's just somebody who is an incredible ascending leader. And again, it's hard to believe that he's still on the right side of 25. So it's a great thing to have. I honestly hope we can keep him forever, but I know that probably isn't realistic. But I'm enjoying him as much as we can as we continue to have him.
Another couple of minutes here with Will Pelagic, play-by-play voice for Charlotte FC, as they get ready for Atlanta United coming up batting leadoff on Saturday. From a Charlotte perspective and from a booth perspective, where Atlanta United is concerned in this matchup, what are you the most confident about where Charlotte is concerned, and what concerns you the most about this matchup where Charlotte is concerned?
I don't think they'll have as much difficulty breaking the lines against Atlanta like they had against Seattle. I think that there will be a lot more opportunity forward for them, particularly if Zaha's in the lineup. I feel a lot more confident about that. The worrisome part, obviously, is how you handle that stout front three. When you think about Emmanuel Latte-Lath, Zabala Brunice, and Miguel Almiron, that's as menacing a test that Charlotte's going to face all season from any team not named Inter Miami, because of the fact that they just bring such great talent, great finishing effort, great ingenuity on the ball. Saba's had some good moments against Charlotte in his past. Obviously, we know the repute of Miguel Almiron, and it's a player that Charlotte obviously liked themselves enough when they were going after him in the summer transfer window a year ago. So that obviously is something you look at and say, if Charlotte's going to win this game, they have to make sure those guys are marked. That's no two ways about it. I think Atlanta's goal scoring ability is something that definitely is worrisome, but I think Charlotte will be able to have more of their moments in this game, because I do think that they will be buoyed by the return of Zaha. They will. Basically, the biggest thing that they've said this week is that what we had professed to do when it came to ball possession, we just did not execute it. And I was talking about this with somebody who's covered Dean for a while, and he said, look, these teams in the European leagues, they possess the ball a heck of a lot more than Charlotte FC has over the first year plus. But a lot of the reason why they've been such a counterattacking team is because Dean recognized where the needs were. Dean recognized where the club was from a skill set perspective. And he said, look, we were going to win games. We want to get results. We have to be counterattack savvy. We have to be defensive savvy. We have to be very tough to beat. And so I think you'll see a lot more of that ball progression stuff interloped into the way that this season goes. But at the end of the day, you look at them and you say, we want to be able to beat you in a lot of different ways. And I think that's the one thing that he is at least impressed upon this group and impressed upon people who cover the team as what he feels like his mission forward is in 2025.
Last question for you, because I know you got to hop in the car. How would you personify this rivalry? You've been in both cities. You know what the sport means in both cities. How would you break this rivalry down to someone who hasn't seen it?
It's brotherly, I would say. I wouldn't call it, like Traffico. I wouldn't call it like the Hudson River Derby, where there's genuine hate It seems like with those rivalries, this is more brotherly. Like you want to get one on your brother. And again, I wouldn't say there's a big brother, little brother scenario. It almost kind of feels like twins because we both were somewhat conceptualized at around the same time. Atlanta got a little bit of a head start, but I do feel like it's something where you have the combined heritage with a lot of people who are Charlotte FC fans who may have an Atlanta United shirt or jersey somewhere tucked behind their closet, and we hold that against nobody. But I also think, too, the Anton Walks part softens it as well. The fact that he had such a great identification with both teams, the fact that we lost him at such a young age, that was something that I give a lot of credit to both the supporters unions for both Atlanta and Charlotte for continuing to honor his memory and do everything they possibly can to remember him fondly. That part, I think, maybe keeps it from getting to a point where it's incredibly hated. I also think, too, the fact that you've won on each of the opposing team's home fields each of the last 4 years, I think maybe ramps up the intensity for it a little bit. But I'm happy to see it once again showcased on the national stage. I think it's the third time we've had national TV for this game of the 7 times we've played. First year, I think we had it on twice, and then last couple of years, it's been Apple only. But I'm very happy to see what transpires on Saturday, and hopefully we get a good match, John.
Broadcast plans on your end?
We'll be on the air at 1:30 for a, again, 2:25 kick. So we'll have a little bit of an extended pregame show. We are working on an interview from the Charlotte FC perspective to get us more easily escorted to kick time, but should be a lot of fun. We're very much looking forward to it. Anna Whitty's first home game, by the way, my new broadcast partner, so she's very much looking forward to that.
As always, my friend, get out of here, go to practice. Great to see you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you.
Yeah, all right, that's Will Pelagic, play-by-play voice for Charlotte FC, and like literally, if he needs a note, I'll give him a note. Literally, he can hand it to the sports director and everybody there. I'll make like 98 copies. Like, literally, I was pushing right up against it to where he hops in the car and goes to practice. So big ups to Willie P for dropping by this morning as he's in mad preps for trying to get everything squared away. If you want to listen on Apple, then you can do the local radio option on their end, and you can listen to Will Pelagic and Anna Whitty on their end until Apple gets their head screwed on straight and gives you the option to do both home and away for those that do away and those that show up to do away. And Will, as always, thank you for fixing my geography. It is 85. For the Crown and Coke Classic, or whatever we're calling it, I guess we should put that to the floor. It's 85. It's 85 north until the end of time. You'd think that going into Gwinnett County, as much as I do, I would remember traveling to the northeast is 85, and 75 is the one that goes from northwest to southeast and down to South Georgia. So, 85. So, as always, great to catch up with Will Pelagic and find out what's going on from the Charlotte perspective. So, Wilfred Zaha, we kind of know. So we'll see. But that's why I wanted to get the lowdown on the lineup. Last time, it was Christian Kalina and Ned who punched a 7.5 against Seattle. Back four, Tim Ream, Privet, Malanda, Byrne. Midfield four, Abada, Williamson, Westwood, Kerwin Vargas, and then you had Pep Biel playing behind Ajimon. So it will be an interesting test, first off, to see who starts. If it is Zaha and how he integrates into the whole thing. Do you create a matchup problem with Ajimon and Zaha if that's the start? So all of these different things that are in play are the layout here when it comes to Charlotte getting ready for Atlanta United and the trip up 85. So as Will told you, it is the super hyper mega pregame show, considering that it's also going to be on Big FOX. So with it being on Big FOX, when you sit there and you see a start time, add 10 minutes. Or in the Big FOX's case, add 15. So right now on MLSsoccer.com, it is listed as on the schedule a 2:15 start, which means you add 10 more minutes because of the pregame. So initially, you'd think it was, 2 whatever, but it is 2:15 listing, which means 2:25 kick. So when you see times on MLSsoccer.com, add 10 minutes because that is the Apple ordained pregame time. Because remember, it was 9 and then they just went ahead and took the extra minute or two. I think they went from 8 to 9 to 10. So right now it is 10-minute pregame on Apple. So it is 7:40 or 2:25 or 4:40. So Charlotte, Atlanta, 2:25. It's on Apple TV and on everybody's networks. Tomorrow we'll go through all the juice boxes and we can whip around and we'll let you know what those numbers are. And it is across the board. It literally is Apple, Season Pass, Apple TV Plus, Big FOX, and Big FOX Deportes. It's on all 5. 215 listing, so it's a 225 kick. The more you know. So that's where we are. So it's 225 for those of you that are traveling up I-85 to get to B of A. So that's the layout. And like I said, that's why I wanted to catch up with Will to get the latest on possibly Zaha and all that kind of stuff. So that's the rundown from the Charlotte perspective. And if he's late for practice, I profoundly apologize. Maybe you should get there right on time. Maybe a couple of speed bumps in the way. Make sure that the lights are in his favor. So we'll see what it looks like. All right. We'll say hi to everybody before our buddy Nino Torres joins us in 10 minutes. Then find out what's on your mind this morning. Morning, Alex. Will is already singing. Morning, Ricky. Yes, and Ricky, it probably has the thought pattern of a lot of Atlanta United fans. Congrats to Zaha. Hope he stays to bond with his child through at least Saturday afternoon. So we'll see. Rich, reminding us about Gene Hackman. I didn't realize that Gene Hackman was 95. 95, Gene Hackman. And obviously, the investigation is going on in his wife's and his puppo's passing. And so that was in New Mexico. That was released yesterday. And so, Rich, excuse me, something went down the wrong way. Hang on. Yes, The Replacements is a top 10 sports movie because Jimmy McGinty is anything but a traditional coach, Pat. Jimmy McGinty, criminally underrated as a professional football coach. And The French Connection, short of the chase scene in Bullet, the French Connection chase scene, one of the best in cinema of all time. So if you're looking for chase sequences, Bullet, French Connection, 1 and 2, right there. And why they did a sequel to French Connection, I have no idea. I have no clue. And then you had the Ed O'Neill version where he was Popeye Doyle, and then the remake. No. You didn't need a sequel to French Connection in the first place. But Gene Hackman, French Connection, Roy Scheider, the whole thing. And by the way, they smuggled it inside the body of the Lincoln Town Car. That's how they got it past customs. But Bullet, French Connection, best 2 chase sequences in the history of cinema. All right, let's see. What else is on people's minds? David about the USWNT, like adding in some new folks. McEwen got run by quite a bit in her 2 games. Sonnet took a total nap on goal 1. Like I said, I think that Bart and the Soccer for US POD folks, they're going to be analyzing She Believes from one end to the other. So keep your ears posted for the next edition of Soccer for US POD. Yeah, and Rich, trust me, I'm guessing we're going to be getting into this. Like I said, I have not seen the topics that Nino is bringing to the table, but I imagine that this is going to be one of them when we go around the world in 30 minutes. Gago out at Boca Juniors after losing to Alianza Lima. And like I said, I think that Nino Damas actually had that one. At the end of the segment last week, I think Nino Damas actually had Alianza Lima marked and problems for Boca Juniors. Nino Damas, I think, had that one square. Let's see. Morning, Harry. Morning, Abby, and she is where shopping is a pleasure. So, thoughts and prayers. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, and once again, Will correcting me on the interstates and the travel. Yes, good morning from David. And let's see. Yeah, and Will says a star on the chest means we're the big brother. They have nada. And Will probably is not alone in this assessment. Loath Tepper more than Charlotte FC and tossing sodas and fans and things like that. So probably on the field, brotherly, and then there are thoughts reserved for the men up top. Michael doesn't need another cute name for a rivalry, and it's true. Not every rivalry needs a name. I mean, you do have clean old-fashioned hate with Georgia and Georgia Tech. You've got Iron Bowl with Alabama and Auburn. But, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, I don't know. The game, Cal and Stanford. That's awfully presumptive considering both of those schools are, fighting to be at 500 every year. But the game, Cal and Stanford. I don't think that's the game. It might be the game to them on that side of the Mississippi, but it's not the game. So, Michael, another reason European football is better. And at the published time, kickoffs at the published time, no BS. Wiley suggesting that the chase scene in Ronan be on the list. I need to go back and look at it. I need to go back and look at the chase scene in Ronan. But for me, 1 and 2, being 128 years old, it's Bullet and French Connection. And maybe the Blues Brothers with the chase sequence there as they're going from Lake Wazapomani and getting shot at by Carrie Fisher, where they had, 40 cars destroyed? 40 of those old Dodge Poleras and the Grand Furies. Surprised I could actually remember that in 1980 and 81, it was Grand Furies and Poleras. But, yeah, so maybe the chase sequence that was edited for the Blues Brothers. But without question, I mean, Hoosiers, just from a sporting perspective, Hoosiers, what he did in that movie. And while it was a sports movie, it wasn't necessarily a movie about sports, if that makes any sense. So one of the great actors of this, of the whole business, Gene Hackman. Michael, the game, Harvard, Yale, absolutely true. Yeah, on this side, absolutely true. Yeah, Harvard and Yale, the game. This side of the Mississippi, Harvard, Yale. The other side of the Mississippi, 2 teams fighting to be at 500. So, true. Not everything needs a nickname. But that's just one popped into my head. It's like somebody had mentioned Crown and Coke. I forget where, but Gene Hackman. I'm trying to think of like other sports things with Hackman. No, I was not. That was James Caan, the program. But no, literally when you think of Hackman, it is, for me, French Connection, Replacements, Hoosiers, and then Birdcage. So that's what's when it's in my mind for Gene Hackman. But very, very sad day across the board for the Hackmans. And 95, that was the one thing. I didn't realize he was 95 years old. I'm still crushing it. And he was living in New Mexico, and he's painting and writing books and things like that. Full disclosure, that is the one thing that I wish I had more time for. Is writing books. Writing books. So that's the one thing I miss. Okay, so once again, hi to everybody who is joining us this morning. Once again, Nino Torres from Gold TV coming up here in a couple of minutes, and we will have his thoughts. Like I said, I ain't seen him, but I imagine Alianza Lima, Gago, Libertadores, that's probably a big one. Thanks to our coaches yesterday that joined us for Soccer's in Session. That is traditionally in the noon hour during the high school season. And then we pick up the pace in the playoffs, where it's basically daily at noon, where we got to catch up with Matt Cheeves from Dalton yesterday. We got to catch up with coaches Homskis and Hayslip at Lincoln County, boys team at Lincoln County in Class A D2, up to their best start ever at 4-0. Girls program, back-to-back double-digit win seasons, back-to-back appearances in the Sweet 16. And what those two have built there in Lincolnton has been very, very cool to see. And then catching up with Ryan Burkhart, the girls head coach at North Gwinnett, to see how their season has gone so far. They put up a lot of big wins. They challenged themselves with a match against Roswell, lost 1-0. And they're getting into their Gwinnett County non-region before they get into Gwinnett County region play. Tomorrow, I will be at Lambert. West Forsyth and Lambert. Everybody's heading north up 85. Everybody's heading north up 85. I know that Maddie, Sophia, Jason, Mike, they're all heading up 85 to get ready for Atlanta and Charlotte. And I will be at Lambert, West Forsyth and Lambert, is our matchup tomorrow night on soccerdownhere.mixler.com. Our live matchup doubleheader at 6 and 8. 6 and 8. Girls at 6, West Forsyth and Lambert. Boys at 8, West Forsyth and Lambert at Lambert High School, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. And that is our high school match doubleheader on Friday. It was really cool to see Riverwood and Midtown in the midweek. And before that, it was great to be in Lincolnton on Monday night for Monday Night Football with Thompson and Lincoln County. Tracking a couple of games next week. Remember, next week I will be in Macon, but the morning show will exist. Morning show will go 9 to 11. That's normal. So the morning show will be normal next week. And so trying to figure out who can spend an hour and hang out with folks and do in session on Wednesday, because I have to be at the Macon Coliseum. Monday, Tuesday here in the studio. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday down in Macon from the hotel. Times are going to be the same. No changes there, no power hours or anything. But next week, Monday, Tuesday from the studio, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from Macon. And then we got the games that'll be on our Mixler channel. Don't forget to download the Mixler app, MIXLR. And you can follow Soccer Down Here and SDH2. And when there is a live game or a live event on our Mixler channel, you get an email notification. So download the Mixler app, follow Soccer Down Here, follow SDH2. When there's a live event, then you get an email notification, and then you're off and running, and you go, oh, there's a live game. And you sit there and you hit the Mixler app, and you listen to all of us calling live action here across the network. The Twos broadcasts are kicking back up in a little over a week, and we'll have that leading up to the matchup against Red Bulls. So next Friday is the beginning of the Twos schedule with Atlanta United 2 and Red Bulls 2 before Atlanta United and Red Bulls from Mercedes-Benz. All right. It is it is that time where, since it is 10 o'clock Eastern, and it's a little after 10 o'clock Eastern because I filibustered, we go, what show can go from Charlotte to Lima, Peru on a Thursday? The answer is one. And you know what show that is. It's this one, because yellow.
Hello. Soccer Down Here fans, Nino Torres with you. Like every Thursday, we're fully loaded. Absolutely loaded today on this Thursday, brother. Man, it's just incredible what's all been happening from in CONMEBOL history. So yeah, brother. Hit it.
Well, once again, the way that we play this segment, going fully loaded, I always ask Nino, it's like, what's on your mind? And I kind of have an idea, some of it, and then I have my own separate ideas. He sends ideas. I don't look at them until we start the segment. But we did have our buddy Rich in our chat, in the Twitch pitch. Let us know, leading into your segment, that there was a dismissal, shall we say. And I believe that Nino Damas had this pegged Gonzo after Boca Juniors loses to Alianza Lima, and they are OUT of the Libertadores.
Yes, sir. And it's, you know, what's the funny part? What is funny and it's not funny at the same time, right? The guy doesn't know yet. Everyone else knows about Gago. So it's not, the communication hasn't been officially landed into his desk. He's finishing training now, but yeah, everyone knows. You know, the soccer council, the president knows, the fans knows that he hasn't received the official notice yet. But it's that was he was expected. It was expected because like I put it in the messages, right? I mean, Alianza Lima dropped a nuclear bomb in Buenos Aires. That's what they did. It's just a nuclear bomb in La Bombonera, because this is a team, right, that spent $30 million to try to win the Copa Libertadores. And you're not even at the group stage. And you're not in not even the Sudamericana, no international competitions for the second winningest team in the continent. All right, second winningest team. in the country. The number one is Independiente with 7 Copa Libertadores. Boca Juniors has six Copa Libertadores, and it's a massive impact. This loss to Alianza Lima. $84 million, right? Is the value of the roster of Boca Juniors. You know how much is the one for Alianza Lima? You know how much Alianza Lima's roster? Give me a number.
How about I move the decimal place one spot and go 8?
Yeah, we're pretty close. 12.
Okay.
12 mil.
Okay.
Versus it's 7 times bigger, man, in numbers, right? But the thing here is that all these signings, because the Spain, I think exactly 27, not 30, but $27 million they spent on signings this offseason, Boca Juniors. None of them, not a single one of their signings put anything on the pitch that you will say, oh, man, look at this guy. This guy's good. No, not one, not a single player. And one of them, Alan Velasco, who they spent, I think, $7 million on him, is the one who missed the last penalty of the series against Billy Vizcarra. That, by the way, talking about Vizcarra, I was gonna tell you this, guys. I never call a game in Spanish. Never call a game in Spanish. I'll start my career calling games in English, right? So I was watching the game, the Alianza Lima Boca Juniors game, and I saw boom, the own goal. Oh my God, here we go again. But then they tied the game. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. Just plug in my phone, my computer, put my TikTok live, and then went ahead and called the game in Spanish on TikTok. It was beautiful, man. Turnout. I got a 13K turnout for the thing. It was very emotional, and it was beautiful.
And when you have this kind of activity early in the tournament, you mentioned what happened with that one. Santa Fe goes to penalties. Santa Fe was a minus 196 against Deportes Iquique out of Chile, and they go to penalties and get the win. Boca Juniors once again, and then Bahia beats our buddies at the strongest. They're, like I said, I always mention these names because they're just kind of cool and you don't know where they come from. But Bahia 3-0 winner over the strongest. Then you had Nublense, Boston River was a 1-1 draw. Corinthians beats Universidad Central. And then Barcelona and El Nacional was once again a 1-1 draw. Right now, as things stand, now I'm sitting here and I'm clicking the standings deal. It's going to be, if you had in your bracket, you're filling out a bracket, and you had Alianza Lima and Deportes Iquique, dude, I'm sitting there and I'm going, all right, fine, you win. I'm not questioning anything. I did not have that walking through going into that particular section of the bracket.
It's this is what I told. Yeah. I know you have these guys, right? You're supposed to believe like Independiente and Boca Juniors, right? Those the teams that they were called to be in here. But like I said to the it's crazy because I was doing these previews like for 3-4 days, and I would keep saying this: Alianza Lima has a highly chances to advance to the next round. In Buenos Aires. You're sure? Nino's Boca, brother. Just listen to me. This Boca Juniors team doesn't have what it takes. You got all these new pieces, but none of them are connected. None of them are playing as a team, and none of them are at their highest peak. None of them. Starting with Cavani and Ander Herrera, right? Are the so-called superstars, but their career is downhill now. And Cavani missing that goal in the very last second. There were like 20 seconds left on the clock, and he was right there. Did you see him, John? Do you see no? Mm-mm. Brother, you gotta watch him. You just pull it, Google it somewhere after this, and you're gonna see it. It's just like a 50-year-old Sunday league guy missing an incredible chance. The goalie was not there. The goalie was off. It was just him and the goal. That's it. And he missed it. And that's another, proof that we are human beings, and we forgot sometimes we're human beings. But they get paid millions of dollars. I don't care, brother. I don't care. Right? And I immediately send this message to my friends. Destiny plays for Alianza Lima.
Wow.
You will advance. The penalties, the Boca Juniors went to the finals winning penalties. Listen to me. This is the Vizcarra show. All right? The goalie for Alianza Lima. And he will get you through the next round. I got the screenshots here, but I got the screenshot. I'm going to send it to you, by the way, in a second, right? But I'm going to send it to you because with the time and everything, and my buddy's like, oh, Nino, please, let's hope that you're right. Boom. It did happen, brother. Nino Damus. I was so happy.
Mm-hmm.
And you know me, I'm not a Alianza Lima fan. I'm Universitario fan. I'm the arch rivals.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But I'm happy for them. Right? I'm happy for them for a Peruvian team. And there's also an additional ingredient in there that it just got into my heart because my buddy that passed away a few weeks ago, he was an Alianza Lima fan, so that one goes for him, man. I think that's the part that really got me the most to stay tuned with Alianza Lima on this series, man.
When we see tournaments like this, as we go around the world fully loaded in a half an hour with our buddy Nino Torres from Gold TV, when you see these big dogs that are massive favorites, and then you have a moment like we had with Alianza Lima knocking Boca Juniors out of the Copa, knocking them off the chair, having them slip on the banana peel. What is wrong these days with all of these super teams, all of the big names that we're used to seeing with Boca and River and all these big names? Why do they slip in these moments? Is it that the competition is getting better and they're not paying attention, or are the big clubs coming back to the mean? Are they coming back to being the average, or is it the teams below them are getting better? What is it?
It's the teams below that are getting better for sure. I was watching also the Deportes Iquique. I watched the first leg, not just the second leg. I watched the first leg too. That stadium, brother, it's absolutely engaging, right? But the team was playing like a team. This is the main factor here. The collective effort from the teams that they know that they don't have that money, that they don't have those signings. They put an extra effort, right? They put an extra effort into the competition, and on top of that, what is happening with these big clubs, specifically, I want to say specifically in Argentina, they are trying to get the old glory back. They're not working on creating new glorious teams, but they're getting the glory from the past, bringing back Marcelo Gallardo, bringing back players from Europe, bringing back players that they were playing in the team before 5, 6, 7 years ago, thinking that, this is Boca, I am Nino Torres, you're 50, you're not 30 anymore. Well, but I'm Boca. No, it doesn't work like that anymore. It doesn't work like that. And the lower tier teams are improving, and the signing of Pipo Gorosito for Alianza Lima, I remember you have no idea how much hate he got, man. Yeah, but a lot. Nobody knew him. Nobody knows Pipo Gorosito improve. Not that we know him, right? But not from up close. We don't know how he works and how the insights. We didn't know that. Boy, he was. You had no idea. There was an Argentinian journalist who came in to visit. He was in all these different channels, right? And interviews and this. People gonna see be careful, guys, because he doesn't know how to train. He doesn't know, of course, he's a fan of Boca Juniors, right? And Gorosito is fan of River Plate. So you gotta watch what you hear from who you hear it.
And for those that might remember, the off season about a month ago, Alan Velasco was picked up by Boca Juniors from FC Dallas for just under 10 million euro.
Yeah.
And right now, Alan Velasco is a part of all of the Boca Juniors not advancing. So that's the local American tie with Alan Velasco going from FCD down to Boca Juniors. Once again, around the world with our buddy from Gold TV, Nino Torres. We go fully loaded every Thursday at 10 Eastern. Next topic on the board, and bizarre VAR stories in Portugal. What in the wide world? Actually, yeah, let's go there, and then we'll go back to Racing Club and CONMEBOL. But yeah, what is this with bizarre VAR in Portugal? What's going on there?
All right, so I've never seen this before. I don't think that you have ever seen it before. And it was the what was it? I think it was a sporting game. Yeah, it was a sporting game. There was an offside call, right?
Yeah.
But I was watching it, right? I was watching the TV was showing me the replay. I was like, that guy's offside. I was like, that guy is offside. But then we got the other perspective from the other side that the back heel of the player was lining up with the elbow and la la la. Okay, all right, okay, finally. But they didn't get that angle from the VR cameras. You know where they get it from? There was a CCTV camera on the post in the stadium. They got it from there, not from the cameras from the VAR. From CCTV. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" No, we're not kidding you. This is what happened. It actually happened. I was like, okay. I thought we were in South America that creative only, but it looks like in Portugal also.
It's a security camera. It's like to keep the guy from breaking into the fridge to steal somebody else's lunch. That's how we came up with it. We had that camera in the lunchroom, and that was the one that gave us VAR.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane.
Oh, don't.
Also, and my buddy Derek Gomez, who's a big sportingista, he sent me a message yesterday. Nino, this is Derek Gomez on February 26th. I'm telling you this, we're gonna finish in 4th place. We're talking about Sporting.
Mm-hmm.
No, brother. Why say that? Why fans are so dramatic? And I responded, this is Nino Torres on February 26th saying, you're wrong. You're gonna win the championship. You're gonna repeat the title. Oh yeah, baby.
Okay. All right. So Nino Damas speaks, and we lay it all out. All right. Let me dial it back. Racing Club will be the king of CONMEBOL tonight. What's going on there?
They're playing the second leg of the Recopa Sudamericana, which is the champion of the Copa Sudamericana versus the champion of the Copa Libertadores.
Mm-hmm.
Racing got the first leg 2-0, and they're playing in Rio today versus Botafogo,
mm-hmm.
which, by the way, hasn't won a single game, not one game, since their coach decided to go chasing the load of dollars from Qatar, because Artur Jorge went to Al Rayyan in January, and in February, Botafogo was winless since he left. Winless. And talking about the impact of the coaches, right? We're talking about the impact of players, but it's I'm not going to say almost the same that it happened with Sporting when Ruben Amorim left, and then Joao Pereira's disaster, and then they got Rui Borges. But it's so what I don't understand is this, right? So how a team that's playing together, right? They got a different captain of the ship. Is like the only thing you got to do, brother, is just stand still and keep the same route. No, the same. Just don't do anything else. And yet, some ways on how they cannot keep the distance. They cannot keep the same level of performances. Why is that? I mean, we're the same players. We're the same players. I mean, you might get, hey, you don't play a little bit to the left, maybe drop a few yards and la. But we're playing the same system. We're the same players. Why are we so bad after our coach left us?
Well, the folks here in Atlanta could give you an answer because Thiago Almada ain't there no more.
I know.
He's well, and once again, this is part of what we see with the multi-club model with John Textor and Eagle Football, where you can slide players across your across all of your clubs. So Botafogo being a part of Eagle Football, part of the deal was when Thiago Almada was signed basically to Eagle Football Group, that he was going to start at Botafogo, then he was going to go to Liga, and then, when he goes from the plan was Botafogo, Liga, and then the Premier League or wherever. But that Botafogo was that first step for Thiago Almada. A couple of names that are familiar to folks here in the U.S. involving Botafogo. You have Jefferson Savarino, who was at Real Salt Lake, and he's a part of it. Artur, who came from Zenit St. Petersburg. He's a part of Botafogo now. And Vitinho and Gregory, who was with Messi and Friends. Gregory last year was with Messi and Friends. And so there are a couple of names that are familiar. But, like I said, Atlanta United fans could sit there and say, once again, multi-club model. And the value of the club, you mentioned Boca with their value. Botafogo right now, total market value, 117 million euro. And right now, they looks like they're going to stumble. They're favored tonight in the match, not in the full
in the series.
But yeah,
I don't think they're going to win either.
Yeah. So the match tonight, Botafogo's a -141, 90-minute draws a +272, and Racing Club to win tonight, not the series, but just tonight, is a +359. But once again, you look at multi-club models, how you can slide players from one place to the next. You have that continuity problem. Then you've got a coach that goes elsewhere, and that's the part of the issues that you have to deal with these days. And Botafogo seems to be stumbling around, and somebody tied their shoes together, and they can't get the walk straight. Non-soccer related, you have here is Ukraine has the most beautiful bunker in the world. So you're going to Ukraine for your last story.
Yes. I was just I was reading this magazine yesterday, and this story really caught my attention. What's going on in Ukraine and the war and everything else, right? But there's always touching stories coming out of there, and there's these volunteers, right? They come up with this bunker, which is under a cafe in Ukraine for kids. So they got the kids into the bunker, and they teach them jiu-jitsu, they teach them acting classes. They also playing indoor soccer, obviously, because out there is complicated.
Understood. Yeah.
It's just how we come up with these ideas to be that creative in order to protect the kids. And I just wanted to share the story with you because I found it really interesting and touching, man.
No doubt about it. What are you calling this weekend? Where are you, sir? And when folks can dial you up on Gold TV on fntz.co/soccer down here, what's going on this weekend folks need to know about?
It is absolutely lightweight this weekend because in Uruguay there are elections.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not having Uruguay this weekend, and we're not having Peru this weekend either. So only have a couple of games. It's Porto and Sporting.
Mm-hmm.
Aruca versus Porto, and on Saturday, and on Monday we got Sporting versus Estoril. So Nino Torres is going to the beach this weekend, man.
Nice. So as you say, 1:00 on March 1. Porto on the road, they're favored at a -143. Aruca's a +380 at home. Draws a +267. March 3 on Monday. Sporting is a -500. Estoril north of +1100 to go on the road. Right now, your standings in the Liga Portugal. It is Sporting and only ahead of Benfica on goal difference after 23 matches. They've got +6 on goal difference, both at 53 points. Porto and Braga, both at 47. Goal difference is the difference there. Porto substantially ahead by 9. And then you get your gap to Santa Clara, Casapia, Estoril, so on and so forth. Boa Vista, by the way, after the 8 dudes that they brought in on the team photo, the 8 dudes that they had on the team photo, that does not appear to have done very well because they are still at the bottom of the frickin' ladder. They've only won twice. They are 2-6-15 in 23 matches. They've scored 14 goals and given up 40. They've lost 5 in a row, and they are 9 points from safety and 4 points from Firenze. in next to last. So Boa Vista, after bringing in all these dudes, my first question is, A, have they paid Reggie Cannon yet? And B, are they paying these dudes, and are the checks bouncing, or is the direct deposit working every 2 weeks? That's my biggest question with anything involving Boa Vista till further notice.
We'll see what happens there.
I'm just saying, brother. I'm just saying.
If I were one of those players, man, I would rather get the cash. Just don't talk to me about wiring or anything electronic. Just give me the cash. Give me this cash. All right. Then we talk. That's
Straight
what I would do if I were a Boa Vista player, man.
Straight cash, homie, when it comes to Boa Vista. As always, my friend, enjoy the beach when you have your weekend where folks are exercising their incredible privilege to vote for their futures in South America. Be safe. May Nino Damas have the thinking cap on and continue to bring us the wisdom that is the Copa Libertadores and Alianza Lima, and we continue to follow there as well. As always, my friend, love you very much. Great to see you. Be safe. Enjoy the beach, and we will catch up with you again next week as we go #fully loaded with you, my friend. Great to see you. We'll catch up next week.
Thank you, Johnny. Just one last data here that I want to drop before I go. One last one. Alianza Lima is the only Peruvian team in the entire history of the Copa Libertadores to ever eliminate Boca Juniors in a knockout round. The only one in this entire history.
Wow.
Thank you, guys.
Once again, Nino Damas, he's got it all locked in place. As always, my friend, we will see you next week. Thank you for the trivia, and thank you for the knowledge, and thank you for the love each and every time. It's always great to see Nino and great to catch up with him. And man, seriously, every time, because I get to, find out what's going on in his mind. And it's always fun to see what's going on around the planet and get his perspective about what's going on, get Nico's perspective about what's going on in Central and South America. And to be able to have this kind of a platform where we can have all of this come to us. And by the way, if you have not heard, our buddy Howard Hamilton over at Soccer Metrics, every single time that there are matches coming up, the Copa Libertadores show, it's here on the network. You can listen and get Howard's POV on everything going on in Libertadores. But yeah, when a big dog gets knocked out in the Copa Libertadores, and the timing, beyond perfect, once again, when Nino Damas says it's going to happen, and then it happens, and then magically, who's on the next day? Who is on the show the next day after it happens? We get Nino Damas the next day after the event breaks down to get the lowdown of everything going on in Libertadores. So you have Howard Hamilton with all of his analysis leading into it. We have Nino Damas with the predictions. He puts the hat on. He He sits there and he looks at, he goes out his satellite, he's pointing that feed horn, getting all the knowledge. Nino Damas blesses us with this knowledge. And we get to widen our horizons when it comes to tournaments and things like that. And for me, like I said, it's an education, and I hope it's an education for you. I hope it's entertaining. Lord knows it's entertaining. That is the easy part. It is entertaining, and it's always great to catch up with him across the board. And like I said, if you are a true junkie of the sport, you got to catch up with him on Gold TV when he's calling all the matches in South America, over in Portugal on Gold TV. And I can't rank it any higher. And the mere fact that, once again, I can have a conversation with him, like offline, and it ends up being an online conversation, like when he's calling the match and everything, and you end up having that kind of a conversation. It's really cool. So, as always, great to catch up with Nino Damas and be able to share the experiences with him as we go forward. So that is the rundown of everything where we go fully loaded with our buddy Nino Torres from Gold TV and find out what's going on in his brain in and around the planet. It's great to be there with 30 minutes of the world stage. Gold TV, Nino Torres, because, like I said, we get to talk about movies while we're calling. Well, he's calling a match, and we're talking about movies, and it gets into the broadcast. Literally, Nino has conversations with the players. I mean, he's in the Nino Damas Gold TV studio. He's having conversations with the players for the match he's calling. They may not necessarily be able to hear him, But he's having a conversation with them. He's talking to the coaches, talking to the officials. He's letting them know what's going on. Always there to let you know what's going on with the match. Having conversations with listeners and viewers the entire time. He turns it into a three-dimensional experience. Nino Damas in 3D is what you get when you get a match with him on Gold TV. And it's a hoot because it's far different from any other approach that's out there. And you get to see him calling games in South America and Europe, and you get to widen your horizon that way. Then you get to experience it the Nino Damas in 3D way. And then he gets to come on here and let us know what's going on in South America, what's important. It's kind of like a little bit of soccer over there, but we get it with Nino Damas on Thursdays with South America and a little bit of Europe and things like that are in his brain. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm blessed to call him a friend, and to be able to have these kinds of things where we get to have shared experiences. Like I said, what other show, seriously, on a Thursday today, what other shows can go from Charlotte to Lima, Peru, to go into Seattle? I can hold up one finger. And that's what we do here at SDH. With all of you folks in the Twitch pitch, all of you watching on whatever platform you're watching on, that you're a part of the SDH family, that you're a part of this on Thursdays. And it's really cool to be able to have a platform where we can have this kind of conversation every day, because we get to learn about everything else. I get to learn about a lot of things I didn't know about. And that's part and parcel as to why I don't want to see the topics until we talk about them. So this way I get to learn with all of you. Some of the stuff I know, and Rich talking about Gago coming in this morning. Yeah, the only thing missing is the actual piece of paper in the envelope going, delivery for Mr. Gago, and then he gets the envelope, and then it's like, oh, okay, I guess so. Please clean out your desk, sir. Security will be escorting you to your car. That'll be coming soon. But no, it's great to have these conversations every Thursday when we get to catch up with him and find out what's going on around the planet. But it's a part of our bigger picture. So anyway, all right, coming up in a couple of minutes, it's going to be Niko Moreno from Seattle. He's going to break down CONCACAF. He's going to break down Major League Soccer from the Pacific perspective. And once again, you had what's going on in South America. We're going to finish up the bracket today in Copa Libertadores. And Sudamericana's got another, I think, a week or two before they kick it back in. Qualifications today before everything rolls back in on March the 5th. Cerro Porteño, big favorite at home against Monagas out of Venezuela. And once again, this is just the matchup today. And then Melgar is a slight minus side against Deportes Tolima at a minus 101. Tolima today is a plus 299 to win. Right now, the scores after the first legs, once again, Deportes Iquique, Alianza Lima, they're through. Bahia, Boston River, they're through. Barcelona, Corinthians, they're through. Last matchup to be decided in the round of 8. Cerro Porteño's got a 4-goal lead on Monagas. I think that's pretty safe. And then Melgar leads Deportes Tolima 1-0. And so that will fill out your bracket of 8 after tonight. And then next weekend, I think, is when it all cycles back through. So that is your Copa Libertadores update with our buddy Niko Moreno. And coming up here in just a sec. So Nino Torres, great to have him on at 10 o'clock on your Thursdays. Last half hour of the show, we get to go to Seattle. Like I said, what show goes from Charlotte to Lima to Seattle? This one on Thursday. Time to dial up our buddy Niko Moreno, who I know you had a late night.
What's going on, John? Amigos of SDH, excited to be on. Absolutely late night.
Ooh.
I was up to about 1:30. All in all, after coming back late from the stadium, CONCACAF mixed zones and things are very different than your everyday MLS sort of thing. So it does tend to go a little longer, man. But excited, man, about everything that happened last night. I am on my second cup of coffee this morning.
Okay.
Should be 3, but I'm almost done with this one. But man, it's exciting times right now with CONCACAF, with MLS, with everything we got going on. We are very lucky to have so much to talk about.
Yep, and what I wanted to start off with you was your late night with a match that had a bit of an ebb and flow to it, but you did, where Seattle is concerned, obviously you advance and you're in the murderers bracket in the upper right when we get to the next round, but you got to see folks contribute who were either injured and struggling last year or new faces this year. You got to see Areola and De La Vega contribute to the win to get you to advance in CONCACAF last night if you're a Seattle fan.
Yeah, it was near a perfect night, from the weather, for the 24,000 plus that were in attendance, to the fact that you get your young DP and probably your most talented player on the field that last year had so many question marks, physical issues, injuries, not just contributing, playing 90 minutes, but he gets a brace. Something that he's been looking for. We got to talk to him after the game. You could tell how much it meant to him. It doesn't mean that he's not continuing to grow, right? I mean, we talked to him. We talked to Brian. Both thought that although he had a really good game, there are things to sharpen. There are things that he needs to be more deliberate on. And I think he's a work in progress still. But as my breakout candidate for the Sounders, I was happy to see him be as effective as he was. The first goal that he gets, all credit to him for not giving up on the play, continuing to push, then putting that ball away. And in the second, I think Joe Pablo yesterday was phenomenal. It was kind of interesting that when we spoke to him after the game, he looked like he wasn't even happy with his performance, man. And I just was like, man, that's crazy. But that's just the expectation he has within himself. He got to play with the captain's armband. And in that second goal, he's the guy that intercepts the pass coming out of the back from Antigua, picks up his head, slips De La Vega through, and then De La Vega puts it away with all the composure and all the clinicalness that you're hoping from your young DP. So all in all, it was perfect. I have to highlight Danny Leyva as well. He was the other pivot. We talked about the depth of the Seattle Sounders and the high floor. This is exactly what we were talking about, right? You get Jonathan Bell in, you get Thomas at goal, you get all of these new pieces, and still you're able to have a solid game. It wasn't perfect. Brian talked about conceding a goal, the way the goal was conceded, which I like. I like the fact that he expects more from this team. And with some of the issues that we had over the weekend, which has been the ups and downs of this season to start off for the Sounders, that have been more positive than negatives, but it's still not a finished product. So all in all, I think Seattle perhaps played a team that wasn't as talented, and I'm not denying that, right? And you see that in the scoreline. Mauricio Tapia was very honest about the limitations he has in Guatemala and with his team, and he talked about how he can never expect his team to move the ball as quickly and cleanly as the Sounders do. That it would take him so much more effort to get his players to move and cover the space that the Sounders did. So I do praise Mauricio Tapia, his honesty, this team. But what Seattle did face was a relentless squad, a very physical team. So no matter the scoreline, it doesn't matter the budget that maybe you'll see in Antigua's roster. This was a determined team and a team that wanted to get through, that was putting it all on the line, and Seattle was able to dominate in this particular game. They were effective at Antigua, and that's something to be proud of.
Seattle now going on to take on Cruz Azul. First leg of that is March the 5th, and you are upper right in the bracket if you're following along from a Sounders perspective. It is Cruz Azul in Seattle, and it is Club America and Chivas. That is the upper right-hand section of the bracket when it comes to CONCACAF. Major League Soccer has announced club roster designations. We'll get into that, club roster profiles, and everybody's been announced, so that transparency is out. We'll get into that in just a little bit and walk through it from a couple of teams' perspectives, Atlanta and Seattle for starters. When you look at week one in Major League Soccer, what sticks out for you from the winners and losers, early panic? And is there any lightning rod topics that come to you after the first match week in Major League Soccer here for 25?
Man, well, I am upset that I left my notes downstairs, but I believe it was 46 goals in total in this one. What stand out for me was that there was 12 head coaches who were debutants in the first week, and only one lost the game. Unfortunately, it was Greg Berhalter with Chicago. That was interesting to me that in Latin America, we have that saying that any coach that debuts usually wins. The numbers are there to satisfy that for the debutants here for MLS. I thought Cornell was the most impressive because we had talked about whether he was going to stick to the game model of the Philadelphia Union or if he was going to bring his own. And I think we got that answer. Cornell's going to do Cornell. He's going to press. He's going to work. He even went out of his way to go and get Andrea Vasilev, which I think is going to be another contributor for his squad. Something else that stood out to me was that only 4 home teams lost this week, which was interesting. Portland is as bad as we thought they were going to be, or they have as many question marks as me and you had discussed because of Evander, because of the lack of acquisitions to fix the difficulties, to say the least, that they had to not concede goals, to control games. I think the Phil Neville seat has to be hot after you give up, 4 goals to a team that you had already been destroyed by in the playoffs last season. I think that they made Nelson look like Mbappe for most of the game. I understand that the yellow card to Kamal was a little bit soft and maybe controversial, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to deal with that. And Phil wasn't able to do that. So there is a hot seat there for Portland. There's a lot of question marks. I see a fan base that wants more, that maybe even deserves more. I thought Atlanta was fantastic, man. I was very high on them. They were number 2 in my power rankings, way higher than anyone that I've been able to read. No one has them that high. I did, and I think they were fantastic. They obviously some shoring up to do defensively and some shoring up to do in certain places, but I think that the talent level there is high. And when it comes to players 1 through 3, they can match up with anybody in the league. So those are some of the things that stood out in week 1.
You look at a couple of results. Columbus, we wondered where the goals were going to come from. They came anyway, and they put 4 on the board against Chicago. You look at
now Chicago couldn't get out of their own way. I got to tell you that. But I mean, point well taken though. Columbus, very good. I love that Diego Rossi decided to just not just take that load, but I love the homage he did to Christian Ramirez and to Cucho after the goal. So definitely the personalities there, the young players are there. Point well taken.
Yep, a lot of folks now looking at Jason Russell Rowe to be combined with Diego Rossi for the goals in Columbus. And so, of course, Gutierrez scores for Chicago. And then he gets discoed, and now he's going to be suspended for the match this weekend coming up against DC United. So that doesn't help Greg Berhalter. DC and Toronto, for those that were at Audi Field, I think, honestly, that was 90 minutes of their lives they can't get back. Two painful teams, and they each scored on each other, and by the end of the day, nothing was settled. Messi and friends, you end up with a 2-2 draw with NYC, and a lot of folks were more drawn to what happened after the match than they were during the match. Javier Mascherano wanted to try to get the match itself pushed back. The league was like, not so fast, my friend. You were going to play this match at the Erector set. But then a lot of folks after the match were looking at Lionel Messi and what he was doing on the pitch, and Luis Suarez ends up getting an envelope from Disco as well. I know that you addressed what happened after the match with Lionel Messi in your social media. For those that missed it, what did you break down?
I just thought, and I still believe, that there's enough compounding evidence that would make me, as someone who, if involved with Disco and MLS, I would want to dress very seriously, because it is not the first time that Lionel Messi, in one way or another, tries to get his way, and his demeanor towards the referee, to me, was intimidating and aggressive. and it was beyond what's necessary. He got that yellow, but then he continues to talk. And then there's the instance with the New York City FC staff member when he grabs them. So whenever you have compounding things in that nature, you already got a yellow. For me, he did enough to deserve a 1-game suspension. Now, it was not the most popular opinion because I have been getting hit up by all the Messi and Jorge Mas bots that you could possibly think of.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of hilarious, some of the stuff that people are putting out there. But I just let it be. I stand with my opinion and my conclusion that you cannot feed the narrative that Lionel Messi is bigger than the league. Now, I understand the counterpoint that maybe he is, right? Because you basically gave him the keys to the league and to everything just to bring him on, and he's been a positive influence, a marketing tool, and everything that he's been magical, right? He's been everything you want out of Messi. But you could not allow someone to be beyond the league and just common sense and the referees, and you got to be able to set a precedent and say, hey, this stops now. Yes, you're Lionel Messi. Yes, you are the biggest name in sports, if you will, in the United States, but we need you to knock it off. We need you to just be able to respect the referees just as anyone else would. I got hit up with the Maxi Morales neck grab against Red Bulls, which is a completely different situation. A whole bunch of things that I just don't think they coincide. And for me, it's just important to just go ahead and nip that in the butt and say, Lionel Messi, you're amazing, you're everything, but you need to knock it off.
Other games, it was Derby with Dallas and Houston. Dallas wins at 2-1. Houston's going to be entertaining Messi and friends this weekend. Once again, in Nashville and in St. Louis, it was 90 minutes of people's lives they can't get back. Goalless draws with Nashville and the Revs. Goalless draw with St. Louis City SC and the Rapids. San Jose put 4 on RSL. I know that we were sitting there wondering about San Jose and wondering about RSL. RSL has put up clunkers now in league, giving up 4 to San Jose, and then losing to Herediano last night in a match really that they should have won at home to close it out to go to the next round. But RSL, I got early warning signs there in Sandy, Utah.
Hey, man, I hate to tell folks I told you so, but, man, I told you so. I mean, you cannot let go of as many influential and key components of your offense and expect things to be A-okay, and expect a guy that was in MLS Next Pro to compare with a guy like Cristiano Arango and handle your load of necessity up top. And they've looked anemic. They've looked, toothless. There is nothing to this offense. Look, San Jose played with Espinosa as a wingback. Espinosa, and you're unable to create danger on that side. Look, he's a fantastic attacker. I'm not denying that. But he's got to do a little bit of defense. And if you're not forcing him to defend, then, oh my, what are we doing here, right? Yeah. I think that Diego Luna needs to be a bigger piece of this puzzle. I feel like there is this necessity right now to play with Pablo Ruiz as your 10. He can play the 10, but he's not who I would want as the number 10 to amplify my game. Very good distributor, good, foot on the ball, a smart player, but he's played a little deeper because he's had some inabilities to break the game in a certain way that you want your camp to do so. So there's just so many question marks to RSL, and this 4-0 score was more of an indictment on RSL's poor form and not so much on, San Jose being a, top 3 team this season for the Western Conference. I think they're a good squad. I really appreciated Bruce Arena saying, look, the 4-0 scoreline, don't talk about that. Don't let that fool you. It wasn't a 4-0 score because he's keeping expectations low. He understands and knows that he needs to do that, so his team is hungry every week. So I loved it. I like the formation change. It was a surprise. I'm not going to lie. Seeing Bruce come out with 3 in the back was odd. I literally refreshed my phone twice, and I was like, there's got to be something wrong. And then I saw it. I was like, okay, man, you go do you, Bruce. And he worked. It was a way to get all your best attacking talented players in one point in time. I thought his substitutions were very good as well. So, hey, man, Bruce doing Bruce-like things with San Jose.
All right, one more topic before we get into this upcoming weekend, and it is our buddy Jason Nix in the Twitch pitch. He goes, Mikey Veras, too. San Diego's going to be tough, it looks like. I did not have, and literally, all the pundits, all us folks are sitting there and looking at San Diego and going, I don't know about the build. I got questions. Where the goal's going to come from? What's it going to look like? Literally, everybody has the question mark thought bubble over their head coming into this season about San Diego. And basically, Mikey Veras and Dreyer came in and grabbed us by the lapels and started doing this bit, knocking us around. A solid win against LAG, but obviously LAG was shorthanded, no Paintsel and no Puig. But in transition, especially the second goal, where you had 3 passes, and that was it. And Dreyer slams the door to make it 2-0. San Diego surprised me and a lot of folks, I think.
Yeah, they were surprising is the word, right? I mean, I don't think anyone that I know of expected them to not just win this game, but completely outplay LA in the ceremony of their championship in front of their fans. I mean, they went all of 2024 without losing at home. And in the first game to an expansion team, that is over and done with, my friend. I mean, it's done. Credit, obviously, to the game plan. I think this team might be good, man. I mean, but Veras showed that with that 4-3-3, he's able to stay compact, to obligate people and teams like LAG to have to be forced to play out wide. They made it difficult for those inside channels to be the way through for the LA Galaxy. I will not shy away from saying that Sanabria did not have a good game. Obviously, first time in MLS, first game, but he was out of position most of the time. When Elijah came in, I thought the LA Galaxy looked better. There's question marks with Christian Ramirez because he honestly didn't get any services, to be quite frank, but it was just very disjointed completely offensively for LAG. I thought coming out of the back, they were a mess, which honestly was a common denominator across MLS. I mean, so many issues coming out of the back, building out of the back, so many goals given up as gifts all over the league, in Orlando, in Chicago, in Seattle. I mean, there was all kinds of issues in that particular phase of the game. Fagundes, I thought, was in an island, and he was unable to get involved. And whenever that happens, you are almost tilted to one side, and you're unbalanced, and you're unable to get Fagundes together. He needs that association. He needs the ability to connect, and he wasn't able to do that. So, all in all, you got to credit San Diego for the game plan, for the module, for the identity. I did not have Dreyer as a guy that was going to come in and just, have a brace right off the bat. Tuki did not have his best game. And even with Chucky Lozano, your big name player, not having a fantastic game, they were able to be very good. They do lean on his side a lot to create, right? And they move the ball very fast, right? And it's quickly and it's direct, and we're going to get forward. I thought Godoy and Torres did a great job at midfield as well. So the team is well coached, man. So, yeah, there might be a problem, and we'll see how they do against St. Louis at home and see if they can keep that momentum going. But, yeah, they definitely raised some eyebrows for me.
Yep, San Diego, by the way, is a plus 102 at home. They are one of the late games on Saturday. 90-minute draw against All Caps is a plus 263, and City is a plus 243 to win. Required reading for everybody today. Major League Soccer has put out the club roster profiles for the spring of 25, and basically what it is, it's a PDF file. It's 32 pages long, and it gives you an introduction into each club, each designation when it comes to players, how they fall into the roster, who's got space, who's got gaps, international slots, do you have everything lined up? So great piece of transparency by Major League Soccer to let everybody know, okay, so-and-so's a DP, so-and-so's a TAM, so-and-so's a U22, where the gaps are in the rosters and things like that. Now, all I wish is that we're getting closer to full transparency. I just wish it was to the point to where we knew actual salary numbers, where teams were up against the cap, how much cap space do they have. And in years past, where teams like Messi and friends can have a lot of imagination when it comes to bringing players in. Oh, he's a lone guy and, this and that, and he's league min and all this and prorated. To have these capologists, that to me is the last step in this. This is a good step by Major League Soccer, but I want to know now where teams are and how much cap space they have to navigate. Then I think you get full transparency out of Major League Soccer.
Yeah, man. I mean, you might be asking for too much if you ask certain people, but I am totally with you. I am absolutely with you. I think this is important, not just because of the transparency, but the ability to get people engaged within MLS, and given those that are either casual fans or fans that are starting to get involved with MLS, to have a better idea of each team and how everything works. Love this sort of format for me is great. I know that in Spanish we've had a Spanish from Spain journalist by the last name Vaquero, who spends his whole offseason working on one in Spanish. So these are the sort of things that I really appreciate from MLS, because it does provide a lot of context that's necessary for journalists and of course for the audience as well.
Yep. All right. So let's get into cliffhanger for the upcoming week. And it starts early, involving Atlanta United and with Charlotte. We caught up with the play-by-play voice of Charlotte FC, Will Pelagic, earlier. Right now, on the road, Charlotte favored at a plus 121, draws a plus 238. Atlanta United on the road is a plus 218. In this series, though, the road team has locked it up each time, I believe. Each and every single time the road team has gotten the Duke.
You're absolutely right.
And gotten full points out of this.
Hey, man, you took my nugget. Love it. I love where your head is at. And I'm actually taking Atlanta. And not just because of the statistics and the fact that Atlanta offensively is as exciting as it is. I mean, that Mosquera goal was fabulous, by the way. I just think Charlotte really disappointed me in their own execution of a game plan here in Seattle. When it comes to getting Patrick Adjaman involved, not enough was done. I thought Pep Biel was very intermediate at times. This team can definitely be disciplined and hold teams to low scoring games, but I just don't know if right now in this particular time, and maybe it's just the start of the season, they just didn't look in sync offensively, and you're going to need that against Atlanta. You are going to have to put up goals on the board to beat Atlanta, and I just don't know if Charlotte has enough firepower with Abada, with Karen Vargas. I just don't think they have enough to really go blow for blow with Atlanta United. So I'll take Atlanta for sure on the road.
Yeah, and still have question marks on Wilf Zaha after the birth of his daughter, and if he's going to be available, how many minutes he's going to be available, all those kinds of things going forward. Seattle is 4:30 Eastern time, 1:30 your time, Saturday afternoon. You are the second game in the National Showcase before sundown. How do you think they'll respond by playing last night? Today's a regen day. You're basically probably, traveling tomorrow to RSL and then playing Saturday afternoon at RSL. Seattle's a dog at a plus 185. RSL's a plus 150, and your draw's a plus 220.
Look, train and travel for sure. Difficult. I'm not doubting that. Seattle hasn't won in RSL since 2011, I believe. But I think the time is now. And I think this team is going to respond. And the depth of this squad allowed you, well, two things. The depth and the 3-1 lead at Antigua allowed you to really rotate the team very consistently. I think everybody's hungry in this locker room, man. Everybody wants minutes in. There's a lot of competition in positions for this squad. I really believe that this is the moment in time where the Seattle Sounders will get a win at RSL once again. We talked about the issues from RSL. We don't need to go back into those. But I think Seattle in this one will get Jordan Morris, who came off early against Antigua, a rested Albert Rusnak. You're going to get possibly Manungu in there as well. The defensive line as well rested. You rested Nuhu. You rested your goalkeeper. You rested a very needed rest for Ovid Vargas and Christian Roldan. I just feel like you're going to get a very fresh team that's going to be motivated to completely erase the gut punch that they suffered here at home against Charlotte with the late equalizer. I feel like they got something to prove, and why not do it somewhere where you haven't been able to do it, and you can take advantage of an RSL team that seems to be completely out of sorts. Similar to what I said about Atlanta, I feel like if you want to beat Seattle, you got to break them down. You got to beat that defense. And with what I'm seeing out of RSL, I don't think that they have enough to do so. Because of that, I'm taking Seattle, no doubt, in this one. And I'm actually going to be bold enough to just hit it with my stamp of guarantee in that one. Let's hope that the Sounders don't let me down.
Wow. So Niko gets the guarantee. Revs and Crew, Red Bulls Nashville, Purple Team Toronto, Philly Cincy, Chicago DC, Minnesota Montreal gets us to Sporting in San Jose. Sporting is favored at home at a plus 110. Draws a plus 260. San Jose is basically a plus 2.25, plus 223. Do we see Espinoza as a wing back again going up against Sporting?
I think so, man. And look, wow, those numbers are incredible, man. I know what I'm doing later on today. I'll tell you that right now.
Mm-hmm.
I will take San Jose in this one too, man. I mean, that's crazy. I just saw a Sporting Kansas City team that was unable to get their way against an Inter Miami team that has a whole bunch of defensive issues. Offensively, they've been just as good, but I see all sorts of spaces and issues when it comes to one-on-one defending, when it comes to active defending for this Inter Miami team. So if Sporting Kansas City couldn't do that, I don't see how they're going to do it to San Jose either. And San Jose, as good as they have been here with this new momentum, man, I think they could really go to Sporting Kansas City and put them on their heels for the majority of the game. So, man, I'm going to take that road game as well. And that's 3 road games, man. I'll hit it with the guarantee as well.
Wow. We got to get you like a stamp or something when you sit there and you go, bang with the guarantee. LAFC's hosting NYC late on Saturday night. Portland and Austin. Portland favored at home. No Kamal Miller, obviously, because of the red card. And then Kamal got an envelope for not leaving the field in a timely fashion after the red. So Portland without Kamal Miller, favored at home against Austin at a plus 102, basically even money. Austin coming to Portland at a plus 219.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me, just because I wasn't sold on everything that this new Verde did against Sporting Kansas City. Sure, they got the win. It was a 1-0 lead, and there were things that I did like. And, between Pereira's ability to control the midfield, I thought Vasquez was dangerous for the most part. I think he helped a lot of the link-up play as well. But I'm just not sold on it. And Portland at home is Portland at home. They have a lot of injuries. Super Rich, I believe, is out. Santiago Moreno is out 3 to 4 weeks. So a lot of injuries for Portland, but I would not put it past them to go and have a really big game, or at least do enough to just draw this scoreline. So I want nothing to do with it, but I'm not sold on Austin.
Yeah, it's still early in the year for the Verde. San Diego at home is a plus 102, hosting St. Louis City SC. Vancouver hosting LAG. Dynamo and Messi and Friends. And Messi and Friends are a dog at a plus 159. Houston at home is a plus 149. Does this get another stamp?
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Those are good numbers. I don't think it gets a stamp for me, just because I'm gonna stay true to what I've been saying, that I think Inter Miami will have struggles this season. They put it all out here midweek. So whether they play down, whether they rotate, they move some pieces, I don't think that they have the exact same validity for me to rotate and be just as good as they were last season. So I'm not going to get there for them. I could see a draw in this one. What's the draw for the Houston and Miami game?
Plus 260 in the composite.
Yep, I would not mind a draw there. 1-1 draw. I think that's something that I could definitely see. Look, Houston Dynamo were not brilliant by any means against Dallas, and I thought that they shouldn't have lost that game either. I mean, they're definitely missing some big players down there. I don't know why the goalkeeper would go halfway out and give Anderson Julio the ability to just move right past them and score a goal. I think they had moments in that particular game. Benny Ball tends to be very effective when things get going. It didn't look like that in game one, but I can see him making some adjustments and, possibly getting a draw against Inter Miami this weekend.
All right, what's going on up there in the Pacific Northwest? Folks need to know about where you're concerned.
Absolutely. Hey, man, make sure you check out all the stuff that we got on Fuso Sports. We got Mauricio Tapia, we got Brian Smetzer, Paul Ariola, Pedro de la Vega talking after the game. So that's going to be something that you want to check out tomorrow. We will do and record and put out possibly in the afternoon what we learned this week with Jeremiah Oshan. We're going to be at the training facility. We're going to go over everything that happened this week for the Sounders. We're going to be giving you guys some insight if we see any players that are physically not fit, or if there were any injuries, how things are going, what the team might look like going into RSL. So if you want to have some insight to get those juice boxes flowing as well, make sure you check that out. It's going to be in the Nos Arietes and Sounder Our Heart podcasting network. And then on Monday morning, we'll break down everything that happened in the weekend with Lobbing Scorchers, also part of the Sounder Our Heart podcasting network, but you can get it on YouTube as well. We'll break down the entire weekend, focused, of course, on the West Coast, focused on the Seattle Sounders. But if you want to get a big take to start off the week, you can go ahead and check that out in Lobbing Scorchers as well.
No doubt about it, and it's always fun to see your reports from the Providence and Swedish Funhouse and bouncy routine and the trampoline extravaganza. So whatever you get from the bouncy house and the fun house up at Providence and Swedish, or whoever the hospital sponsor is, I get it confused. But yeah, up at the bouncy house with the trampoline, where everybody's getting ready for Seattle and their weekend. It's great to see you, my friend. Thanks as always for the insight from the West Coast. Go get your third cup of coffee, and we will catch up with you soon, my friend. Be safe.
Thank you, guys, and stay classy out there, Atlanta, man. I'm excited about Atlanta. I really am considering flying out for the Seattle-Atlanta game. I'm trying to move some things around because it's a difficult time this year. My son is graduating, and we've got a whole bunch of going on. But if I can manage it, if I can move it, really want to go to Atlanta and just check you guys out there.
It would be fun to have you here and get you to experience everything involving the 17s. Can't wait, my friend. And we know that the responsibilities of a dad, and when the family's coming, surprise you first thing in the morning for celebrations and birthdays, that takes priority and stuff. We will catch up with you next week. Thanks as always.
Have a good one, boss.
All right, that's Niko Moreno. And he's going to go finish his second cup of coffee. He's pounding it down right now in the green room. He is really getting that second cup of coffee down so we can start number 3. So Pulso Sports, Sounder at Heart, Lobbing Scorchers, and subscribe to their alerts, so that way when you know that Lobbing Scorchers is up on Mondays and you get to see Niko on the YouTubes, then you can see Niko on the YouTubes. You can always see him here on Thursdays and all of our social media when we chop things up. And Niko will chop things up on his end as well. And it's always great to catch up with Niko because it's informative to find out what's going on in the Western Conference. And so that's why we bring Niko in to find out about what's going on in his mind in Central and South America and the Western Conference every single day. All right, so we're already in the plus. So we've got to let everybody know what's going on with all of the news and what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And since I'm there, we'll go ahead and let you know what's going on, what to watch, where to watch, and how to watch it. So today, it is a road match in Serie A with AC Milan and Bologna. BN has Cerro Porteño and Monagas from Copa Libertadores. That's at 5 o'clock. And the Recopa. They have the Recopa at 7:30 with both the Botafogo and Racing Club. BN Being in Espanol simulcasting, and that is at Fanatis. If you don't have the BNs, all the BNs, Nuestro Telesitio for the fans, Liga One Max, Liga One Max Pro, Gold TV, all the things. fntz.co/soccer down here. You can catch up with our buddy Nino Torres and what he does at Gold TV on a weekend as well. And then that's one. You cycle everything back to Thursdays and find out what Nino Damas had predicted. And it was right. FS1 tonight, not on FS2. FS1 has the last match to determine the round of 16 in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. 10 o'clock, Vancouver and Saprissa. We have midweek Premier League. West Ham and Leicester's at 3, so I know where Nick's is going to be starting at 3 o'clock at USA or Peacock or NBCSports.com. That's the last match of the week. Once again, they're off this weekend. I think it's an FA Cup weekend, and then everybody kicks back in a week from Saturday. So that's where that is. Tuda NA simulcasting CONCACAF, Universo, NBCSports.com, simulcasting the Premier League. Bologna Milan at 2:45 on Paramount Plus, as well as Barrow and Carlisle United. Junkies of the world unite. Paramount Plus, English League 2, Barrow and Carlisle United. That's diehard of the diehards right there. If you are dialing that up. Crazy. But yeah, the transparency for Major League Soccer, once again, you can click on it yourself and open up the document. For Atlanta, just so you know, 8 international slots, and they do the 3 and 3. You have the option of doing the 2 DPs and the 4 U22s and getting, I think it's $2 million extra in allocation money. I think it's $2 million in discretionary GAM. Or you could go 3 and 3. Atlanta, as an example, has gone 3 and 3. And it is Miggy, Latte Lot, and Miranchuk are your DPs. Right now, there are 2 U22 spots open for Atlanta United. Edwin Mosqueda is your only U22 player listed. Obviously, with players that are homegrowns that could slide into those U22 slots if you wish to go that direction. But still, right now, you've got 2 U22 slots available for Atlanta United. Right now, Abram, Gregerson, Lennon, Lobjanidze, Muyumba, Shande Silva, Bart Sleesh, and Jamal are your TAM players. Straight up under contract, Amador, Josh Cohen, Brad Gazan, Ronald Hernandez, Mateus Click, Derek Williams. Right now, just to give you an idea where Atlanta United is concerned, Miguel is contracted through 27, option year 28. Latte Lot through 28, option year 29. Miranchuk through 27, option year 28. Mosqueda through 25 with an option year for 26. Same for Luis Abram. Gregerson contract through 27, option for 28. Brooks Lennon, contract through 25, an option year for 26. Saba through 26. Muyumba through 26, option for 27. Shande through 25, option for 26. Bart through 29. Jamal through 25 with an option for 26. Those are your TAM players. Under contract this year, Brad and Mateus Click. Remember, DC was basically given a pack of smokes, menthols, I guess, a sleeve of zingers, and a mood ring for Mateus Click. And so that space has to be navigated next year for Atlanta United because DC is paying most of that salary. So, and they are carrying the DP designation for Click. Basically, yeah, we'll take him off your hands. You gotta keep the DP designation, and then and you got to keep this. You got to keep this. You got to pay him this. We'll take him. Literally, it was a pack of menthols, a sleeve of zingers, and a mood ring. And DC knew it. They were in trouble. Atlanta came. They picked up Mateus Click and worked some salary magic, and there you go. Pedro Amador under contract through 26, option for 27. Josh Cohen, Ronald Hernandez, Derek Williams through 25, options for 26. You have 8 homegrown players in your supplemental. Brennan Cobb, Matthew Edwards, Jay Fortune, Ashton Gordon, Efren Morales, Will Riley, and Aiden Torres. Most of them are under contract through, at the very least, 25 with an option year for 26. Jaden Hibbert is under contract through 25, 3 option years to follow. Brennan through 27 with an option year. Cobb through 26 with an option year. Matthew Edwards, 25 with 2 option years. Jay Fortune, 25 with an option year. Ashton Gordon, 26 with 2 option years. Efren Morales, contract through 25, option for 26. Will Riley, 25, 3 option years to follow. Keimon Togashi, Togashi-san is through 25 with an option for 26. Aiden Torres through 27 with an option for 28. So that is where Atlanta United is right now. Like I said, the only thing missing is knowing where Atlanta is up against the cap number. That's the only thing that's missing. Because like I said, as an example, we'll go ahead and we'll go down to Messi and friends, just as an example. Kansas City, I guess they go LA. Here we go. Miami. Okay. No shock that Messi and friends are 3-3. Alba, Busquets, and Messi, they are all under contract through the end of this year. No option years after this. 3 U22s, Avalos Redondo and Talasco Segovia. They're there for a while. 6 TAM players. Allende, who's on loan for this year. Gressel, contract through 26, option year for 27. Tom Bogert has Julian Gressel as one of the names to be moved in the trade window. Mascherano is not playing him. And so he is a very expensive luxury item sitting on the bench in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Messi and friends. So keep an eye on Julian Gressel. Falcone is a TAM player. Lujan is a TAM player. David Martinez is on loan through July, and then there's a purchase option. And Luis Suarez is a TAM player for this year. So at the end of this season, Messi and friends have to make decisions on Alba, Busquets, Messi, Allende, Suarez, Ustari. What do you do with the loan on Cello Weigand? Because that's at the end of this year. And you have a homegrown in Ian Frey and Ryan Saylor on the supplemental. Those are decisions you have to make after this season's over. You got to bring them back to the table or figure out what they want to do. And that's why I'm fairly certain, much like last year, that's why all the chips are in the middle. Avalos has a couple option years. Redondo's got a couple of option years. Then you look at Drake Callender, option year for 26. Kromoski signed for a while. Fafa Pico has an option year for 26. Robert Taylor, option year for 27. Supplemental. Afonso has a couple of option years. Same with Noah Allen, Yannick Bright. Santi Morales could be option through 29 or 28. Rockarias Novo. They have to make a decision on him at the end of this year. You know, purchase options for a couple of subsequent seasons. David Ruiz has a couple of option years to follow. And unavailable right now, you've got a couple of homegrowns that are injured, Israel Boatwright and Tyler Hall. But you have to make decisions if you're Messi and friends. Alba, Busquets, Messi, Allende, Suarez, and the loan to David Martinez, plus Ustari and Cello Weigand on loan. So that's the decisions that you have to make. But the thing missing for me is where are they against the cap and how are they navigating it and how much space they have left. This will always be the example for me about capologists and where you are against the cap and how you can navigate things if somebody gets injured. That's the one thing that's missing, I think, in Major League Soccer is finding out where folks are up against the cap and who has no business and who's on the floor. Who's on the ceiling? We know who's on the ceiling. How much space do they have left? And who's on the floor and who doesn't care to spend? So those are the only two things that are left in play. But you can go check the profiles out. They exist. And so you can check the profiles out and see what's going through roster construction in Major League Soccer. So gossip, rumor, and innuendo. We'll go through some of the headlines before we get out of here once again. later today, another one of the interviews with one of the new NPSL franchises. This time we go to New Haven and catch up with them. You can listen to that on the network in a little while, probably later this afternoon. So now your gossip for today. Atletico Madrid looking for a new striker, possibly Darwin Nunez from Liverpool. Liverpool will only sell Nunez if they can bring in a replacement. They're looking at Joao Pedro as an example of that at Brighton. Vinicius Jr., we talked about it yesterday. The Saudi Pro League chasing after him for a massive amount of money. That's still there. Spurs could make a move for Eberici Eze in the summer after becoming a, quote, concrete option for the winger. That's from our friends at Gimme Sport. Manchester City considering a summer move for France left-back Theo Hernandez. His contract talks have hit a standstill at AC Milan. Speaking of AC Milan, they've earmarked Wolves left-back Ryan Aït-Nouri as a potential replacement for Hernandez. That comes from Gazzetta dello Sport. Porto's Samu Agehoa has emerged as a transfer target for Villa. Forward remains on the radar of longtime admirers Chelsea, Arsenal, and West Ham. Graham Potter has set his sights on overcoming competition for the likes of Barcelona to sign Jonathan David from Lille. Manchester United, once again, will have to pay a total of £20 million to head coach Ruben Amorim and his backroom staff if the club chooses to sack them. So we're already going down that road with some of the publications in England. We're going to sack you, and it's $20 million. So it was 14.5 for Eric Ten Hag, his staff, and Dan Ashworth. Could be in the neighborhood of 20 if you're tired of Ruben Amorim. Gazzetta dello Sport also reporting that Christian Pulisic is close to a new deal with AC Milan. Chelsea poised to hold discussions with the reps of River Plate's Ian Subiabra over a potential move for the 18-year-old Argentine winger. Lyon have written to French league authorities to complain about PSG signing Kavicka Kvaratskhelia in January. That's at L'Equipe. So that's at L'Equipe for those of you that wish to read L'Equipe. So today, once again, you have the one Premier League match, and then they get the league. They get the weekend off. Matt Beard is being listed as a shock exit for Liverpool's women's team for football reasons. So you have you've got that to look at as well. Yesterday, Nottingham Forest and Arsenal goalless draw. Manchester United in a big win over Ipswich. Ipswich really needs a win. They need to steal one someplace to keep Wolves in the conversation for the relegation zone. And you've got to see where things stand right now in the standings. Nottingham Forest, by the way, third. Did not have that on the bingo card. The Premier League could have two summer transfer windows because of the Club World Cup. Matt Hughes at The Guardian. They could be forced to operate two separate windows because of the Club World Cup. FIFA announced plans for the interim transfer window, like the super extra special transfer window. So they could allow teams like Chelsea and Man City to add to the squads, agree to extensions before the June 14th deadline. But Premier League clubs are unhappy at the prospect of being shut out of the market and want the domestic window to open earlier than usual so they're not at a disadvantage. Last year it was June 14 to August 30. FIFA's interim window for Club World Cup teams will be open from the 1st to the 10th of June. Under FIFA regs, the maximum amount of time permitted for a transfer window is 89 days, so you can't do the full thing from June 1st to August 30. So, opening the domestic window June 1st aligns with FIFA's plans. The Premier League could shut it early before the end of August, leaving clubs vulnerable for late bids for players from elsewhere in Europe and Saudi Arabia. So one plan under consideration for the Premier League: transfer window opens at the start of June. Close it when the Club World Cup begins, and then open it up again later in the month. FIFA will permit national associations with clubs, according to Hughes, in the competition to open their own windows early to ensure a level playing field within their country, but not those in the rest of the world. This provision also applies in the EFL. The exceptional transfer window is what it's called for Club World Cup competitors. And so, once again, you've got to juggle PSR and you've got to juggle the windows. So you may have two Premier League windows in the summer. Bit of a break from 1 to 2, so you can't have something that goes completely and totally 90 days long. So you have you've got that to keep an eye on for the Club World Cup. So that is in play. Once again, buzzing through the papers really quickly to see if I've missed anything. And then we'll go and have lunch. That sounds like a great idea. So one more time, checking to see if I've missed anything when it comes to other folks. I think we got it. I'm checking other headlines, and I think we got it covered. Okay. I'm going to call it. So there we go. Trying to check all of my things. I think I've got all my sources squared away. Let me check a couple of other folks really quickly. When it comes to movement and discussions and all the things. Richard Masters to Financial Times Business of Football Summit on what is going on involving Manchester City. The Business of Football Summit, he said the disciplinary panel has heard the case, must now be given time to reach their decision. I can't say more than that. So Richard Masters says panel's got it, but they need space. They need to be given their space, need to be left alone for a bit. So you have, it's like, we just need to breathe. It's not you, it's me. Not you, it's me. FC Dallas finalizing a deal to sign Brazilian midfielder Kike from Grêmio for $4 million. Cesar Luis Merle was the first one to report that yesterday. Graduate of Grêmio's academy. So $4 million possibly for Kike to come from Grêmio. And so RSL is looking both internationally and domestically for a center forward. They want to try to get one signed before the end of the window. They've called around Major League Soccer, according to Tom Bogert, for Duncan McGuire, Brian White, who just recently signed a new deal with Vancouver, Willie Agata, who might be available, and Tani Oluwaseyi. And also, CONCACAF is investigating an incident of alleged hate speech. Rapids center back Chidozie Awaziam alleged he heard a derogatory term from Sergi Palencia. Both clubs have released statements, and CONCACAF is investigating. All right, that'll do it. We'll come back in less than 22 hours. And we'll get you ready for Friday. Hopefully, we can catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring to find out what's going on around the planet with them and navigating early season successes and demands from a player and a mentee perspective and what they're learning as mentors. And we'll catch up with them. Jason will join us at 10:30 to talk about Atlanta United. Hour 2 is the weekend whip around. Patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later, where we will catch you up on everything with the matchups, getting you ready for the weekend in Major League Soccer. And tomorrow night, remember, 6 and 8, West Forsyth at Lambert, girls at 6, boys at 8, on our Mixlr channel, soccerdownhere.mixlr.com if you just want to go browser, or download the Mixlr app, and you can follow Soccer Down Here in SDH2. When we got something live, you can click, you get an email notification, you can click on and follow. Don't forget, Jason also has the Morning Espresso presented by our friends at Oglethorpe University. And that gives you all of the news that comes through his soccer calendar. And he gets to sift and sort it out 10 to 15 minutes traditionally, unless Jason goes on a riff and a rant. And you get that in your inbox when you become a Fanatico. And you can do that by going to Chant and downloading the Chant app. And what you can do is download the Chant app. You got a bunch of folks who are partners. You get a bunch of discounts across the board. Here, I'm left-handed. So bunch of discounts across the board, and you can go and be a part of everything on the SDH channel. Download it on the Chant app. Become a Fanatico. $10 a year. You get some really cool discounts, and you get to do it through signing up on Chant. So that's a show. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks to Will Pelagic. Thanks to Nino Torres. Thanks to Niko Moreno. And thanks to you for being a part of things. Back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning. A little less than 22 hours. Played safe, everybody. Mucho platial. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. We'll do it again and get you ready for match week 2 coming up tomorrow morning. Bye.